Well, what's up, YouTube? What is happening? Welcome into SKAP Live After Dark. I, of course, am your host, SKAP, here to discuss, break down, talk about, mull over the Game 2 tonight of the Western Conference Finals. The Oklahoma City Thunder taking on the Minnesota Timberwolves. And yeah, look, if you guys are new here to SKAP Live After Dark or new to me, my content in general, I have been talking about this Oklahoma City Thunder's squad basically since, well, go back to September, guys. I'm not new to this party. I've been talking about their utter and sheer dominance that they were about to plant on the NBA beginning this year and probably moving on for several years to come. We can get into maybe what I think the rest of the NBA has to do to have any kind of a chance, any hope whatsoever to compete with this team for the next several years to come. Spoiler alert, there is no team in its current iteration that I think can do that. Look, this is just a typically dominant output, a typically dominant game, routine, mundane kind of dominance from the Oklahoma City Thunder. They don't look like they're doing anything extraordinary for large stretches of the game. Minnesota was in this game again. They were right there for the entire first half, like they were in game one, like the Nuggets were half the time. The Nuggets held in to several games with them throughout that series. Hell, the Nuggets somehow took them to a seventh game. I don't really know how that. I still don't know how the Nuggets, that Nuggets team, got this Thunder team to a game seven somehow, some way. But, you know, even in the games that the Nuggets lost, they were competitive other than game 7 and game 2. You know, they led in 2 games at the end of 3 that they ended up losing. Ultimately, though, this team just wears you down. They're too good. They're too good defensively at every position beyond their top 5. They go depth into their bench with defense and just overall depth off the bench. It's just so utterly difficult to match up with this team. Really, you would think that the Minnesota Timberwolves would potentially be the most equipped team to combat what this Thunder team possesses, what they throw at you. And even with that being said, Minnesota is in a world of hurt right now. They're down 0-2. They lose this game by 15 after losing game 1 by 26. So, and they've played relatively well throughout at least portions of this series in these first 2 games. Like I said, they hang in there in the first halves. They were, again, Minnesota was actually quite good in the fourth quarter. They outscored them 32-25 in the fourth quarter, but just the Thunder will hit you at some point with this characteristic flurry where they're turning you over. And even if they're not turning you over, they're forcing you into bad shots, and they're getting the rebounds. They're pushing it out, and they just have too much. Like, there's just too many viable weapons that they have offensively, and really their major overriding strength of their team is the defensive side of the ball. So tonight, in a rare instance, the Minnesota bench actually, I think, kind of outplayed the Thunder bench, the Thunder bench being one of its big strengths from a unit standpoint. But Minnesota, 35 big points off the bench, specifically from Nickeil Alexander-Walker. That would be Shai Gilgeous-Alexander Walker's cousin. I'm sorry, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's cousin. So many hyphenates here. It's difficult to keep these two straight. But Nickeil Alexander-Walker, huge game off the bench, 17 points on 5 of 8. They needed him because Julius Randle, who has been fantastic most of these playoffs, particularly for the last 5 to 6 games, 2 of 11, only 6 points tonight. A really off game for him. Anthony Edwards, I think, was heroic in this game. I think he played the best game that you could anticipate from him playing in the face of this defense. He tried his damnedest to just kind of try to keep them afloat in the second half. He ends up with 32 points. Not particularly efficient shooting, 12 of 26 from the field, 1 of 9 from the three-point line. But, like, look, that is just what this team does to you. Officially today, all NBA defensive teams announced. Lou Dort is first-team All-NBA defense, and Jalen Williams is second-team defense. quite frankly, I think Chet Holmgren is all NBA defensive caliber. Obviously, he only played like 32 games this year, so he's not going to be eligible for that kind of a designation. I think Isaiah Hartenstein is also all NBA defensive caliber. You have on the second team this year, you had Zubats from the Clippers. I don't see much of a differential between Zubats and Hartenstein, what Hartenstein brings to the table for this Thunder team. But quite frankly, you have you have Chet, who I think is better even defensively than Hartenstein. And then Alex Caruso, look, he was second team All-NBA defense last year. He was first team All-NBA defense the year before. He's not even on the list. Shai, last year, I think he led the league in steals. He might have finished 8th or 9th in defensive player of the year. He doesn't make the list. This team, the defense is just insane. And then, like I said, an uncharacteristic off night for their bench tonight. Only 17 points off the bench. Caruso actually fouled out late in this game. He was kind of battling foul trouble. But the big three, if you will, of the Oklahoma City Thunder, Jalen Williams, the all-star this year, who I think is a fringe third-team All-NBA performer this season. 26 points, 12 of 20 from the field for him. And Chet Holmgren, who, again, I think is pretty much their second-best player, 22 points for him. And, of course, the MVP, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, the officially crowned league MVP, 38 points, really good game for him. A bunch of unassisted, mid-range kind of jump shots for him tonight. Well defended by Minnesota. Didn't matter at 38 points for him on 12-21. And, of course, he shoots 15 free throws. That's an ongoing narrative surrounding him and this team is the amount of free throws he attempts, the kind of way he may or may not be baiting the officials into those free throws. But shoots 15 of them. He's a great free throw shooter, lingering right around 90%. So 13 of 15 from him from there. Add it all up again, 38 points for him. And the defense, again, they just come at you in waves. There will be at least one time throughout the course of a game where they just wear you down, where you're turning it over a couple times. You're taking quick, contested, rushed jump shots. And, they're just leaking out on the long rebounds or rushing, pushing it out in transition on the steals. And they're just going to hit you with this flurry. They're going to go on some kind of a 12-1 run, a 20-6 run, something along those lines. They came out and just buried the Timberwolves in the third quarter. It was overall 35-21 in the third for the Thunder overall in this game. And that pretty much was, as they say, all they wrote, because this was an 8-point advantage for Oklahoma City at the end of the first half. Do the math, 14 points add up. So this was about a 24-point lead towards the closing stages of the third quarter. And, Oklahoma City kind of went into hibernation mode in the fourth, and it looked a little bit closer than it actually was. 118-103 final. Like I said, a 15-point win for the Thunder on the heels of that 26-point win in game one. And we now will shift back to Minnesota, and we'll see if home cooking can kind of ignite some of these role players or whatever, cool off maybe some of the role players of the Oklahoma City Thunder. I like the Timberwolves to get one of these next two games. I think they'll get split by the Thunder. I think it'll be 3-1 heading back home to game 5 in Oklahoma City, where Oklahoma City will dust them right out of the playoffs on the gentleman's broom, 4-1. That's what I called before this series began. Before these playoffs began, I speculated that I smelled a 16-3 kind of playoff run by this Thunder team. They somehow, some way lose 3 games to the putrid, pitiful Denver Nuggets. But other than that, they look just dominant outside of that series. They destroyed the Memphis Grizzlies 4-0, just absolutely worked them in the 2 home games. In games 1 and 2 there, and then just cruise to the 2 wins in 3 and 4. And now here we are, a total differential per game in these first 2 games of around 21 points per game on Minnesota. Like I said, going back to Minnesota, you would expect a little bit more competitiveness from the Timberwolves, but ultimately probably the best, I'd say maybe the best overall team in the Western Conference outside of the Thunder would have to be these Minnesota Timberwolves. I don't think that's a hot take. This is their second consecutive Western Conference Finals. They smoked their first two opponents as well. I don't think I'm necessarily spitting any kind of a hot take here. The Timberwolves are the second best team, I think, by a pretty large margin too in the Western Conference. And this is what the second best team has to offer. Being beaten by 21 points per game in the first two games against this absolute juggernaut, verging dynasty that is the Oklahoma City Thunder. But welcome into all of you out there. We're over 300 now strong here in the SKAP Live Lounge. 10 minutes in. It is 11:30 on the West Coast here in the USA. And I'm also welcoming in at this time Gary. We have moderator Gary. Gary, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
Well, I have Gary here. Moderator Gary is in. He was just a couple minutes late to the party tonight, but he didn't really miss anything. So Gary, welcome into you. Welcome into everybody else in the lounge. Glad to have you. We're just going over, unpacking, if you will, this game 2, Timberwolves Thunder. I don't want to sound like a broken record. Many people probably thought throughout the year, because I have been talking up and praising this Thunder team all year long, many people probably thought this was just sour grapes, just me kind of lamenting the fact that Denver, quote, has no chance against them, me kind of building the narrative of, oh, well, Denver's so outgunned, so that if they somehow would have pulled an upset off, it would have looked like a Herculean kind of effort for Nikola Jokic. And then if they lose, well, they were supposed to lose. No big deal. That's what should have been expected. Yeah, all those things are true, though. Like, maybe I have been doing that all year, but that's because it's true. I've been talking this team up because they are unbeatable. So it's not like I'm trying to make excuses for Nikola Jokic or any other individual player or team. I've been critical of Anthony Edwards throughout his young career, in stages of his career, and stages of struggles that he's had in individual games and series. I'm not going to be doing that to Anthony Edwards in this particular series, because, he had, again, 32 points tonight. He did not have a good game last game. He had 18 points last game on 38% shooting from the field last game. He had 32 points on 46% shooting tonight. So, he's somewhere in the mid 20s on somewhere in the low 40s on shooting percentage. But like, I'm sorry, I'm just not going to come in here and criticize Anthony Edwards for going up against this team that with a thicket of perimeter defenders. It's just crazy. Again, officially two perimeter players, Lou Dort and Jalen Williams, named All-NBA defensive team today. And quite frankly, to me, not enough. 4 of the top 5 net rated defenders in the NBA this year are the Thunder players. 7 top 20 net rated individual defenders this year on the Thunder. To me, you should have like 4 or 5 Thunder players making those 10 positions. The 10. So there's only 2 All-NBA defensive teams instead of there's 3 All-NBA teams, but only 2 All-NBA defensive teams, and 2 Thunder players make it. Quite frankly, I think 4 or 5 should have been on that designation today. They're just that good. Obviously, the NBA writers are going to spread the wealth, and they're not going to give it to certain players. They're not going to give too many positions to any one team. But look, to me, I think Isaiah Hartenstein should have been All-NBA defense. You can make a case, really, that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander should have been All-NBA defense too, I think. So, and Alex Caruso probably should have been All-NBA defense too if he played. He only played 54 games. But there's no doubt that he is All-NBA defensive caliber, as he was, as I said at the Open. He was second team last year, first team the year before. He was second in point of attack defense last year, throughout the season last year. Second in point of attack defense, which gauges the on-ball defense, second only to Lou Dort. And now, of course, they teamed up in the offseason, and you just have other elite perimeter defenders like Jalen Williams on there too. So, yeah. And then if you do get by that, if you're Ant Edwards, then you meet like 2 bona fide All-NBA defensive caliber centers rim protectors waiting for you there. Like, it's just so utterly helpless and discouraging to go against this team. And then when you do everything right, they still have Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who can get you to the free throw line, or they've been known to disappear in the half court from time to time if they're not turning you over, if they're not getting those long rebounds trickling out. But Shai is just a master in the half court. He's just so utterly precise, like a surgeon in that mid-court area, in that mid-range area, kind of like a remnant throwback to Kobe and Jordan. Guys, like, you just don't see guys that are so surgical and efficient in the mid-range anymore. It's pretty much all threes or all attacking the basket. Shai can beat you at multiple levels when you do everything else right. So, I mean, and that's assuming you can do everything else right against this team for 48 straight minutes. Then, you have to maybe have to deal with the MVP of the NBA. So, like, that is just how unbeatable, unstoppable this Thunder team is, like I've been saying all year long, and like they're going to be for several years to come, I think, unfortunately, for the rest of the NBA. Just another cakewalk, easy blowout victory for them tonight. Gary, again, welcome in. I was watching the game. I came back home later in the game, but I was watching it. Later or earlier with the mute on from a different place. I was with a group of people and I was watching the first half with mute on. I'm not sure. I didn't see. I saw the first half, but I did not. I was looking away at stoppages. I don't know. Something happened with Scott Foster. I'm not sure exactly what it was. There was some kind of a stoppage involving Scott Foster in the first half. So I'm sorry, I'm not prepared to discuss that. I'll look into it obviously after. If someone wants to enlighten me in the comment section, I'd be interested to see that. But we have some super chats in here to kick off the show. I do actually want to just mention one more thing. Michael Malone, the former coach of the Denver Nuggets, he coached Nikola Jokic for 10 years. The only coach Nikola Jokic ever had until they fired him with 6 days to go to the playoffs, 3 games to go to the playoffs. And they elevated David Adelman, son of the longtime head coach Rick Adelman in the NBA. He elevated him to the interim status for the postseason for the last 3 games of the regular season and then into the postseason. That interim tag has been removed officially as of today. David Adelman is the new head coach officially of the Denver Nuggets. No surprise there. I've been speculating that would in fact be the case. I have been calling for that to be the case. He deserves it. He earned it. Congratulations to him. And otherwise, we've got, the other news is surrounding Michael Malone, who is an ESPN analyst for these games. I've got little Luna in here. Little Luna, my assistant and best friend. For those of you who don't know, and she just ran back out. She's feeling a little rambunctious now. She's been keeping my late night hours, so she's more energized. So she just ran in here with a little squeak toy. So you might be hearing some squeaking, some remnant little squeaks in the background. That's just my assistant and / best friend Luna. Michael Malone caused a little bit of an uproar during the last game when he was commentating for ESPN, when he said basically Shai was the MVP. I criticized him mightily in our last show last night here in the lounge. There were a couple questions to me directly about that comment, those comments that he made. I said he was gutless and a liar and a sycophant and a two-face. Because he had been unsolicited hyping up Nikola Jokic all year as the clear, undisputed MVP. And then all of a sudden, when they fire him and he becomes, an ESPN plant, now all of a sudden he flip-flops and goes to SGA. So he officially clarified his comments. He officially clarified his stance on the MVP this year today. He apologized for any kind of confusion because he is apparently getting a lot of pushback and taking a lot of heat from people at home in Denver. He just wanted to let everybody know that if he had a vote this year, Nikola Jokic is the vote for MVP for him. So, I take back my harsh criticisms of Michael Malone on the show last night, as he does clarify that. So we have that going on as well. If you guys want to talk about any of that or anything else, obviously let me know. We can continue to break down this game. We can maybe take a little look ahead to tomorrow night's game 2 in the Eastern Conference, going on that Eastern Conference swing with the Knicks. Hello, Luna. With the Knicks and Pacers game 2. Obviously, the Knicks with their backs against the wall facing a must-win proposition at home following that historic choke job last night. We can, try to unpack that more. Obviously, we talked a lot about that last night in depth following that insane choke by New York that was up 14 with 2.5 minutes to go in that fourth quarter and up 9 with a minute to go. Somehow, some way, get pushed into overtime and then complete the choke, complete the collapse in overtime and lose that one, 138-135. Obviously, a markedly different feel to this series. A lot more defense in this, particularly by the Thunder. Minnesota had 88 points in game one, just 103 tonight. So not that much defense being played in the East, but it's definitely up and down. It's a fun series to watch. So we can break that down as well. But again, guys, welcome in if you are just joining us to the SKAP Live lounge here, 20 minutes in on the East. We're pushing midnight, and let's just hit some of these super chats. Let's try to stay in front of them tonight. I usually get drastically behind on these things, and I'm like 20 behind or something, and I'm trying to catch up all night. So let's start with the Enforcer, who is a regular in the lounge, a regular sponsor here for us. The Enforcer, welcome in to you. And Gary, what does the Enforcer have for us tonight?
I quit watching the NBA about 20 years ago and find myself struggling to get back into it with the prolific flopping, a lackadaisical defense. I quit watching for a period as well. Actually, believe it or not, Jokic helped me get back into it and actually set forth, hey, we've got a new crop of young players who actually care about the game and are playing the right way. And then, of course, when my Spurs got Wembanyama, and Wembanyama is not who he's going to be, but he's looks like he has that mindset and that focus, that love of the game. And there's SGA, even though, we don't like him as much as Jokic. He seems very focused. Like in the All-Star game, for example, like when Kevin Hart was heckling him, he looked annoyed, like, come on, what is this? I want to play in this All-Star game. Wembanyama wanted to play in the All-Star game. We need our guys to care about that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I've been characterized as an SGA hater for some reason. Thank you, Enforcer. I do see another one up here from you next, but I do want to touch on this. I've been characterized as an SGA hater. I was going through my library of videos, and I have a video that I published in January of 2024. So like 18 months ago. And it's Shai with Michael Jordan on the thumbnail and the word elite. It's an 8.5 minute video, and it talks about the rise of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. At that point, no one really was talking about Shai still. And I actually in that video speculate at the time that I thought he was the front runner for league MVP last year. Over Nikola Jokic at that point in time. And I compare Shai to Kobe Bryant and Michael Jordan in that video. So like for people to come in here now, like a year and a half later and just crush me as being like a Shai hater and like a Jokic jock sniffer, like it can't be further from the truth. Furthermore, I've been talking, there was 2 videos made in September and October, as I always talk about, where I said that the Thunder would win this title, Shai would win the MVP, and that that would be the beginning of the Thunder dynasty where they win 3 or 4 titles over the next 5 or 6 years. So like, I'm not hating on this team. I'm not a fan of the team. Like I'm not rooting for the team. Like I make no qualms about it. Like I'm a Jokic fan, but I'm also like, I'm just an analytical person when it comes to basketball. Like I'm emotional in every other aspect of my life. But when it comes to basketball, like it's just what I see. It's just what the metrics tell me. It's the metrics backing up my eyes, so to speak. And like Nikola Jokic is the best player on the planet. He's better than Shai. He's more valuable than Shai. He has a far worse team than Shai. But like, I'm not taking anything away from Shai or the Thunder. Like they were built the right way. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is a great player, and I love his game. I love his mentality. I love the way he carries himself, his demeanor, his leadership style. Like, I like everything about him. He's an unheralded guy. He came kind of out of nowhere. Look, he went to Kentucky, so it's not like he was, this underdog story from high school, but he was a 6th man when he started his freshman year in Kentucky. Like, he wasn't one of the starting players, but he built himself into that. By the time the season ended, he parlayed it into declaring for the NBA draft, and he was the 11th overall pick in Luka Doncic's draft. So he was just kind of an afterthought for the first couple of years of his career. He was traded on draft night. He was drafted by Charlotte and traded to LA on draft night. Does that sound familiar? Kobe Bryant, drafted by Charlotte and traded to LA, the other LA team, of course, on draft night. But then the Clippers didn't want him. They traded him. They involved him in the Paul George. He was just an afterthought kind of a deal for Paul George. And then now look what Shai has built himself into. I have the utmost respect for this guy. He does take both sides of the ball seriously. He's not this flamboyant douche like we see many of these young great players acting bigger than their britches before they've really accomplished anything. Shai's accomplished more than a hell of a lot of players in this league, and he still has that like humble outlook and just that like utter workman-like approach to the game. Like for me to be characterized as a hater of Shai just because I happen to think Nikola Jokic is better, okay, so what? Like I think Kobe Bryant's better than Tim Duncan, but they're both all-time historically great players to me. Like they're both top 5 all time. Like, okay, I think Jokic is a fringe top 10 all-time player. I think Shai is going to get into that conversation by the time it's all said and done. So look, I'm just sitting back and reacting essentially to what I'm seeing. And what I've been seeing for much of this season and postseason is that the Thunder have arrived, and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is a hell of a player, and he's going to be getting a lot of the credit for this run over the next like half decade. But he's got one of the best teams around him, one of the best teams constructed. I think this team does honestly remind me a lot of the 90s Bulls team. And like, look, I'm not trying to say they would compete with the Bulls or beat the Bulls. Like there's at least 6 or 7 teams historically, which we can get into this later on the show if you want. There's at least 6 or 7 teams historically that I think would beat this Thunder team in a 7-game series. But when you look at the construct of it, like Gary, I mean, do you recall, like, was there any defensive weakness on that Chicago team? Like, was there any singular position that you felt good about attacking?
The only hope you had was that Rodman self-destructed. That was about it.
Right. And you know what? I think the one weakness would be, especially in the first 3 iteration of their first three-peat, was like their front court. Like they didn't have like great players either offensively or defensively, in my estimation, underneath the basket. So like that's why a lot of people speculate, oh, well, Jordan would have won like 8 straight if he didn't retire. I don't think so, because they had no answers for Hakeem Olajuwon. Like Olajuwon was winning at least that 94 title. And then if the Bulls if they addressed the weakness then in 95, in the offseason before 95, maybe the Bulls could have avenged that loss in 95, maybe. But when Jordan came back, they got Rodman kind of to address the issues underneath in the front court. But like Rodman is kind of undersized. Like while he was a great defender and a great rebounder, like what was he, 6'8", 6'9"? So like that to me would be the one weakness. But from a perimeter defense standpoint, like the Bulls were like, I mean, you just couldn't get by them. Like the fact that I talk a lot of junk on Scottie Pippen, but he is one of the great defenders of all time, and so is Michael Jordan. So like you have those two guys on the perimeter, almost impossible to get through. But now this Thunder team has like 3 or 4 all NBA defensive caliber guards, and then 2 of the best defensive bigs. Like I just like, and so to me, I see some comparisons. Like the team is just so good defensively, and like Shai is going to get a lot of credit because he's just like Jordan. Like the games are going to be close if you're lucky. Like either the Thunder are going to work you and blow you to pieces, or the games are going to be close no matter how poorly they're playing, and Shai can win it at the end because no matter how bad of an offensive game they put forth, like the game's going to be close because of how good their defense is. It's going to neutralize anything that you try to do and keep them in it. And then Shai like just has to close these games out at the end. Like it is a fantastic situation to be in for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. So it's not to diminish or discredit anything that we've seen out of him, that we're seeing out of him, or that we will see out of him in the future. It's just like that. This is a great situation that he's got himself in. And I think he is, because he is so great, he is going to capitalize on it. But to the enforcer's point, I loved the NBA, loved it through the 90s, the early 2000s, up until Kobe winning championships in 2010. Then I think the NBA was broken by LeBron James when he took his talents to South Beach, and it kick-started the era of the super team. And along the way, the NBA has been systematically litigating out defense. So that's kind of where the product has been damaged and injured to such a degree over the last 15 years. But I think we're actually, enforcer, on an upswing here. Because we've got teams that are so committed to defending. Like the Thunder are going to run the NBA for the next 5+ years. So like if you want to beat them, like you're going to have to defend with them. So like look at what the Nuggets did. The Nuggets were the 18th rated defense in the NBA this year in the regular season. They were the 2nd rated offense. They're totally predicated on offense, trying to outscore you. They have no commitment defensively, and the Nuggets totally Luna. The Nuggets totally. Sorry guys, that was Luna. Like I said, she's feeling a little rambunctious. Hello, little girl. But yeah, the Nuggets totally sold out on the defensive side of things just to try to stay in the series with them. And now Minnesota, obviously, look, Minnesota was the number 1 rated net defense last year. So they're a great defensive team. They're one of the 2 Final Four teams. The Knicks, well, hell, they want to be a defensive team. Obviously, that's Thibodeau's dream and hope for them. And then the Pacers are just a total offensive force, I think. But 3 of the 4 teams with defensive identities and a desire to defend that are left now at this point. So, and young players, I think by and large, that do play the right way as well. So I think, enforcer, I think we're on the upswing. I think the NBA is on its way to being back. We just have to let go of this old, just detrimental era, cancerous era that was ushered in by LeBron James and piggybacked upon by like the likes of Kevin Durant and James Harden and the Paul Georges and the Joel Embiids even. Who want to be like those guys. So I think we need to let go, disconnect from that era, and just move forward with this new crop of young players and teams. But thank you, enforcer, and welcome back in, enforcer, with a second question/comment. Gary, what's this second one from the enforcer here?
Teams like OKC and the Timberwolves sometimes look great on defense because so few players and teams do it, and OKC gets away with murder. SGA is talented, but he doesn't deserve an MVP.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. Like there are still few teams that have that defensive identity or want to have that defensive identity or want to win games on the defensive side. I think the Thunder do, and the Thunder are going to dominate. So look, the NBA is always a follow the leader type thing. It's always like copy or emulate the team that is doing it at the best level or winning at the highest level. And that's why I think if you're going to want to beat the Thunder, you are never going to outscore the Oklahoma City Thunder. Like you're never going to just be like, yo, let's put up 130. And that's our strategy. Like we're going to score 120 or 130 against these guys 4 times out of 7. Good luck. So if you want to compete, you better get long, rangy athletes that can switch everything, that are interchangeable defensively, positionally, and just try to out-defend them or at least hold them tight and find a way to win it in the 4th quarter. So I think we are moving more, matriculating towards a more defensively geared era in the next 5-10 years. Obviously, if Victor Wembanyama can remain healthy, I think he's going to be a big part of that as well. So it's interesting to see. I think, enforcer, I agree with you. Shai, look, he checked the boxes this year. Let's just say he was the leading scorer in the NBA, roughly 32, 5 and 5. Those are MVP caliber numbers. And he was on a team that won 68 games, was the number 1 seed in the West by like 18 games or something, and outpaced the Celtics by 4 games. So the number 1 seeded team in the entire playoffs, ran away with the Western Conference, set the all-time NBA record in net differential, is the number 1 rated SRS team in league history. So like best player, best team, led the league in scoring. Like I get it. But if you really dig in to the metrics and you really evaluate the support that Nikola Jokic had and the support that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander had, like, I'm taking Nikola Jokic. Like, I'm like, and to me, like, it just wasn't that close. Like, I think Jokic was better. I think he did something more historic. Like, Shai was crazy. He was crazy efficient to score 32 this year. He had, like a top 25 PER. I think he was 25th best PER all time, like 19th best BPM. Like, he had kind of a historic season, but Nikola Jokic averaged a triple-double on like 60% true shooting and was top 3 in 4 standard metrics. Like, he was, I think, 3rd in scoring, 2nd in assists, 3rd in rebounds, and 2nd in steals this year. I mean, it's just ridiculous the year he had. So I think, look, if you want to say they're kind of a wash, maybe individually, which I give the check to Nikola Jokic individually in terms of individual dominance. But okay, like, let's evaluate the value. And to me, I don't do that by looking at who won more games. Like, okay, so what? Like, if you just want to look at who won more games, like, you don't have to watch a single game all year. Like, you just go and look at the final standings in the win-loss column and then pick out the dude who scored the most points on that team and give them the MVP every season. Like, I'm looking beyond the win totals and I'm seeing, like, how did they get those wins? Nikola Jokic missed an unusual amount of games this year for him. He's played in the 2nd most games in the NBA since his entry into the league 10 years ago. So he's one of the most durable players in the entire league. He plays in the mid-70s or upper 70s every single year. He actually missed 12 games this season, which is a lot for him. And in those 12 games, they were 4-8. And then if you look at all of the net rating differentials of him on the court, off the court, if you look at him per 100 possessions when he's not on versus Shai, on, off, blah, blah, blah. If you look at just plus minus, I put a video out today on just the raw plus minus. So how many points did the Thunder outscore their opponents all year with Shai on and Nikola on? And Shai led the NBA by a lot in that plus minus field. 918 Shai was plus 918. Jokic was number 2 league wide at plus 594. So a big void, but the Thunder were still plus 137 when Shai was off the floor. The Nuggets were minus 275 without Nikola Jokic. So, like, that is startling numbers that I just think you just cannot deny it. And when you look at the other thing that popped out off the screen, I didn't even want to make that video today, but I was looking at the plus minus and I couldn't help. There was just so many crazy things going on in it that I had to make a quick video. You should go check it out, or not, because I'm talking about it right now. So perhaps you don't have to check it out. Number 3 in plus minus this year for the season. The third, I'm trying to think which bench player it was. It was either Aaron Wiggins. I think it was Aaron Wiggins. No, it was Isaiah Joe. Is the 3rd best player league wide in plus minus. Aaron Wiggins was 9th best in plus minus league wide. And I say in the video, like, it's not unusual to see starters that are in there that are ranked very highly in plus minus. Like Isaiah Hartenstein is 16th and Jalen Williams is 14th in plus minus. But okay, they play with Shai, so you can make the case. Well, of course. Of course, those 2 players, 2 starters, are going to be ranked very highly because Shai's just so good and his plus minus is so high. But when you have bench players that are rated that highly, that play the majority of their minutes without Shai, that is just a startling and emphatic commentary on how good that team is. And again, you have 2 guys in the top 10 in Isaiah Joe and Aaron Wiggins. Then if you work your way down at number 22, or Alex Caruso is number 35, and Carson Wallace is number 22. So 4 of the 5 bench players deployed by the Oklahoma City Thunder are this year in the regular season were top 35 in plus minus, meaning they are killing every other unit. When you look at the Denver Nuggets, the best non-Nuggets starter was Jalen Pickett, who was 138th rated in plus minus this year. Then you have to go all the way down to 325th to find the next top rated non-Nugget starter So like Nikola Jokic had one bench player in the top 300 in terms of bench plus minus. And Shai Gilgeous-Alexander had 4 in the top 35. So like all of those things to me conspire. And when I'm looking at all of these advanced things that go beyond like 68 wins and 50 wins, he's more valuable. No, just stop it. Like dig in a little deeper than that. Go a little beyond the surface. And when I look at those things and I study those things and evaluate them all season long, it is just startling how much more valuable Nikola Jokic is. So to your point, Enforcer, and just giving me another soapbox opportunity to get up here and rail about Nikola Jokic and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. And for these reasons, again, I'm presented as a Shai Gilgeous-Alexander hater. Not the case. It's just crazy how great Nikola Jokic is to me.
If I remember correctly, at the beginning of the season, even before the season, I mean, obviously you said OKC, you called it perfectly. You said OKC is going to dominate this season. And if I remember correctly, you said SGA is going to win MVP. But then after about a week or two into the season, you were like, listen, I said SGA should be MVP, but Jokic is doing something I didn't think he was going to do, which is he's going to be even better than he's been the last couple years, because statistically, you would say Jokic had his best year of his career this year, and that's the only reason you put him over SGA. SGA did have an MVP season this year. It just happened to be Jokic happened to have even a better season, which is why he kind of got ripped off. So it's not like SGA is not a great player in his own right. It's not even that he's not an MVP caliber player. It's just that Jokic had a historically great season this year, something that we haven't really seen before. And that's the only reason you're putting Jokic above SGA for the MVP this year. Not shade on SGA. I thought you were I thought you loved SGA at the beginning of the year. And I still think you do. It's just yeah, that's what people don't understand.
I'm a big fan. Yeah.
It's just how great Jokic, it's a testament of how great Jokic is. There's absolute no hate here at all. It's just all the love for Jokic.
Right. And I said that SGA would win the MVP before the season because people say, I don't know ball, but like it's easy to see. Like the Thunder were the second best net rated team last year. They had the second best differential last year. They were the second best in SRS last year. Second only to the Boston Celtics, who were a historical one-year team last year in their own right. They got Caruso and Hartenstein in the offseason. So like I knew that this team was going to be by far the best team in the regular season. I knew they would win. I thought 65 to 69 games. I didn't think they'd get to 70, but somewhere between 65 to 69 wins. And then I knew that Shai, he scored 30 and 5 last year. So I just did the math. Like you've got a guy in Jokic who had won 3 of the last 4. Fatigue would be imminent. Then and then their team stinks. So like I knew they would barely win 50. They always barely win 50. Like the Nuggets should win 20 or 25 without Nikola Jokic. So the fact that they're winning 50 somehow every year is just a testament to how damn great that guy is. But I knew they would win 50. So I'm doing the math. They're going to win 50. He's won 3. The Thunder are going to win 67, 68. Shai's going to be 30 points per game. Like it's clear that they're going to give it to him. And I was accepting of that until I saw just how good Jokic was. So like I said, like it's going to be almost impossible for Jokic to overcome like a 15 to 20 game differential in wins, which is what it ended up being, like 18. And the fatigue that is going to be inherent with him winning 3 of the last 4. So there would have to be some insanely historic, unprecedented season by Nikola Jokic for him to actually warrant the MVP. And so he did it. Like, so he went out and did just that, which is why I quickly pivoted early in the year and said, like, yo, I said Shai to start, but it's Jokic. Like, it's got to be Jokic. So, like, I still am surprised. Like, I knew that Shai was going to win. All the straw polling had been overwhelming, like 70-30 for Shai from the All-Star break on. So, like, I knew, and that's what he won by. He got 71 first place votes out of the 100. Jokic got 29. So, like, I knew it was going to be like a kind of a landslide. But the whole year, even though I knew that Shai was going to win, like, I've just been out on this ledge, like, describing why it is that it should be Jokic, and therefore I am, of course, a Shai hater by extension. But could not be further from the truth. And the team is going to have super team like results because they're going to win a whole lot of titles now over the next couple years, but they're not a super team. Like, they weren't constructed inorganically. So, like, not only am I a fan of Shai, like, I'm a fan of seeing a team that was built the right way, that defends and plays the right way, that's going to win a whole lot of championships. It's just a hopeless feeling sitting here as a Nikola Jokic fan, because the team stinks. They have no chance to compete against these guys. And then when I point that out, which is just a fact, it's an obvious fact. When I point it out, people call me a jock sniffer and blah, 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 and whatever. And then I'm losing credibility. And it's just so far from the truth. But hell, what can you do? All I do is say things. All I do is just say it the way it is and call it the way I see it.
Look at what their management does. We know LeBron James controls Rob Pelinka. So we know essentially LeBron James is like the general manager of the Lakers. So his whole mindset is, let me get Anthony Davis. Let me get Luka Doncic. But at the same time, OKC, look at them. When they lost to Dallas last year, they weren't, hey, we have to find a way. Let's blow it up and let's trade for Luka or get Anthony Edwards. No, they're just like, you know what? We're close. Let's just get Alex Caruso,
two really good role
and
players,
Isaiah Hartenstein, which were not big splash maneuvers, but they were perfect for their team. Now, imagine if LeBron actually could construct a team like that and just get him a nice average power forward to work with, a nice center to work with, and some nice reliable guards to work with. The Lakers could actually be dangerous. But no, I've got to go for the big splash. But that's not how you construct a real team. OKC demonstrated for a second time because they constructed a potential dynasty in 2009, 2010. And when that blew up due to circumstances, they did it again, and it looks like they've done it even better. That is how you construct a real team.
Yeah, and it's just, look, it's because LeBron's a coward and he didn't have the cojones to just have an assortment of really good players around him. Like, Shai has a lot of really good players around him. Like,
right.
I think he's got two perennial all-stars in Jalen Williams and Chet Holmgren, and then a crazy deep bench. But the responsibility is all Shai's, though. Like, he's going to get the Lions' share of all the credit when he succeeds, and he's going to take all of the blame when he loses. And that's the responsibility of a great player that has a team like this around him. And that's what I've always wanted for Nikola Jokic. Like, I don't want Giannis with Jokic or Luka with Jokic. Unfortunately, though, with Jokic being 31 years old now next year and them being so far off from a roster build standpoint to be able to compete, I think the only option for him to get anywhere near a ring is now to go get one of these big guys, to like call Luka this summer, be like, don't sign that extension with LA. Like, be a free agent, come to Denver somehow. We'll figure it out. Like, unfortunately, that's the only chance he has now because the team was built so poorly around him. But I just wanted Jokic to have like 6 or 7 like lengthy, good defenders that are all like 6'7" to 6'9", a couple of them that could shoot. And then he just takes all the responsibility and the burden himself. Like, that's what I want true great players to have. Like, they don't need super teams. This is what they need. So, like, LeBron was always too afraid to build a team like this. He was too cowardly. He didn't have what it took to be able to take all of the blame whenever, he wants all the credit now.
Right.
He wants, that one right there made me the GOAT, or I want my damn respect when they win. But then when they lose, he's like, oh yeah, but like Wade. Wade was ailing or hurt. Like, Chris Bosh disappeared. Like, Kevin Love was washed. Like, we traded Kyrie or whatever. Like, blah, blah, blah. Like, just excuse after excuse. Oh, AD was hurt, for half the season, and we couldn't get our bearings going into the playoffs. Like, oh, this year, oh yeah, Luka like wasn't great either. Like he just is afraid to shoulder the criticism and the responsibility. So Shai did not obviously veer away from that. And here we are with them. They've built a perfect complementary team around him, and they're just going to be a really tough out for several years to come now. So let's see what Sully's Tech Hub, our regular here in the lounge. Sully is back again. Sully, welcome in. And what does Sully have for us tonight, Gary?
Shai is the master of acting like he got clobbered with a baseball bat. Anytime someone breathes in his direction, it's nauseating to watch.
Look, two things can be true. Like I could talk up Shai. I could like several elements of his game. But at the same time, the guy is a bit of a foul baiter. I have not given into this narrative myself in standard videos. I typically try to steer away or shy away from being critical of officiating things. The Lakers, it's so blatant and so obvious that the rig is on most of the time from the league offices that they get a favorable whistle. And look, you can say the Thunder get some favorable whistles. Like Nikola Jokic got absolutely mugged throughout all of Game 7, and there just were not calls. Conversely, then Shai gets a lot of touch fouls at the other end. So you could say there's some inconsistencies with the officiating. I typically don't dwell on things pertaining to the officials. But yes, Shai really does know how to get to the free throw line, and he is a 90% free throw shooter. So you get them into the bonus. You get into the bonus like the midpoint of a quarter, they exceed the team. The opposition exceeds their team penalty limit, and like Shai just starts drawing these fouls from like the 6-minute mark on, and he's a 90% free throw shooter. Like that's just another element that makes them nearly impossible to beat. Sully, shout out to you though, and thank you for your continued support. We've got two coming in here from Carlo, my man. Carlo, what is up? What's up, bruh? Welcome back in to the lounge. Another regular here in the lounge area. Like I said, he's got two more on the way here. What does Carlo have for this first comment or question, Gary?
Scott, what good, man? I want the Knicks to lose. Can't stand the media and fans propping them up like a freaking dynasty. They haven't won in 5 decades.
Yeah, I can't believe it. Like I said, I'm getting pretty long in the tooth here. As you can see, my facial hair is a little bit grown out, and you can see there is a plethora of white in there. So I hate to discuss my age because, quite frankly, I still think I look pretty good. But I am pretty old, Carlo, and the Knicks have not won since well before my lifetime, like a decade plus over when I came onto this earth. So, I've grown up and heard all these things about the Mecca that is New York and the stage that is MSG and like just the center of the basketball universe, New York. But like, I haven't seen them win anything ever or win anything ever. And hell, I haven't seen them in the finals. None of us have in this century. So, and then for them to choke that game away last night, I'm not even a Knicks fan, and I still can't stop thinking about that loss. Like that's an absolute crazy generational choke job, Carlos. So I don't know if the Knicks have it in them to regroup tomorrow night, but we're going to see in less than 24 hours. Carlo, what else do you have though for us, Gary? Go ahead and read Carlo's second comment here.
Shai and Jokic are like Duncan and Kobe of this decade. Not saying it's the same, but there are parallels. I hope they stay humble and level-headed.
True. I think Duncan and Kobe were historical great players that coincided in the same era in the same conference. Now they were basically like immediate peers, right? Like they were like I think Duncan came in 97, 98. Gary, help me out. I see you're moving around. Was Duncan's rookie year was 97, 98?
Yeah, he came in the year after because Kobe
Correct.
came straight from high school, but Duncan came after 4 years of Wake Forest, which is why he was so seasoned.
Correct. So Kobe actually came in a year earlier than Duncan, but he was a lot younger than Duncan. Kobe was drafted. Kobe was 17 years old when he was drafted. I think Duncan was like 21 or 22. So like while Kobe was 1 year older in an from an NBA standpoint, he was like 4 or 5 years younger than Duncan, but they did overlap each other to a large degree. Jokic and Shai, Jokic is going to be 31 next year. I think Shai is 26. This is his 26th year. He'll be age 27 next year. So about a 4-year difference. So kind of a gap, same deal. Like Shai's the younger one. And Jokic is the older one. The big is the elder. The guard is the younger. And I think the one difference here that we're going to see, though, Carlo, while I think these are both going to be ultimately all-time historical greats in like 10 to 12 years when they're done, when these two are wrapping up their careers, I think, look, Kobe and Duncan, 5 titles each. Duncan went to 6. Kobe went to 7. It ain't going to be like that in this dynamic because Jokic just is going to barely struggle to get out of the first round with the dynamic of the Western Conference. The Houston Rockets and the Minnesota Timberwolves are built the way you have to be built today, just like the Thunder, just not as good as the Thunder. You want long, I keep saying it, long, rangy, interchangeable defenders that also a few of them can shoot and can space the floor and can capitalize on the opportunities that the one singular great player on these teams are creating for them. The Nuggets just aren't built that way. They have no good defenders on that team at all. They quite frankly aren't even a very good rebounding team outside of Nikola Jokic. They're not particularly a good 3-point shooting team. They're not deep. They're old now. So I don't think Jokic has done everything he can just to get to the second round and force a game 7 in that second round the last 2 years. I think next year they might not even get out of the first round, barring some substantial changes this summer. And I mean like trading Michael Porter Jr. and Jamal Murray, substantial changes. So I think while Shai will go on to win 3, 4, maybe even more rings, I don't see Jokic getting more than one in this current configuration that the Denver Nuggets find themselves in. So, but other than that, you are right, and that's I think a pretty good comp. And next we've got in Super Q2Q. Interesting handle there. Super Q, welcome in. Many thanks for sponsoring us here in the lounge. And Gary, what does Super Q have for us tonight?
Yeah, this comment goes back to what I said on our last live stream. You remember specifically what I said about Julius Randle. You could see it in his eyes. He was done. He was defeated. And this comment here confirms that. I can't believe SGA gets these touch calls. They should just start fouling him hard instead of playing chess with him. Yeah, what do you got to lose? If he's going to get the foul calls anyways, you might as well make him feel it. Randle played like crap, which is exactly what I said. You could see it in his eyes. He's defeated.
Yeah, and look, I think, thanks Super Q again. I think, again, the frustrating thing, I try, again, to avoid, I don't bring up the officiating typically ever on my own, but since you guys are coming in and asking about it, I don't mind discussing it. I won't put up videos and complain about it or whatever, but I think the frustrating thing, especially watching it as a Nuggets guy and a Jokic fan last series, was like, he was obviously getting fouled on every possession. Like they had somebody holding and grappling him, like extending him out to the elbow. Like he wanted to catch it. He wanted to get further underneath, but like he couldn't because they had some young, like smaller player just like literally holding and fouling the shit out of him to push him out to like the extended elbow area, maybe like 17, 18 feet out. Then when he caught the ball and started muscling them, well, it was either an offensive foul half the time, or he would get underneath the basket then, and there would be no advantage anymore because he at least got slowed down enough from the fouls on the entry pass and when he on his setup. So it was enough, obviously, to let one of these other two or both of the two bigs get over. So basically, like the game was highly affected on that side of the ball for Denver because they just were allowed to do everything to Jokic. Then conversely, look, if that's what you want to do, like, cool. But then on the other side of things, like, yeah, I mean, SGA gets these soft, touchy fouls on the other side. So like they're benefiting from touch fouls for him on the one side. And this isn't just what was happening in the Nuggets series. It seems like every game I watch them, like they are tenacious, just hounds on the defensive side, just like a bunch of jackals, like running around and just playing so utterly physical, tough, grabbing, holding, beating you around on defense. And they get away with it most of the time. And then on the other end, like you sneeze on Shai and he shoots 15 free throws. Like I get it. Like I get the desperation, the frustration. Again, I try not to talk about it or give into it, but yeah, it is essentially, as they say, what it is. I do want to jump ahead here real quick. Gary, we'll be back. I'll work my way back up. I see I've got another one from the Enforcer in, but I see AOH is in. I don't know for any of you that watch Angry Old Hoops Head. I'm sorry, Angry Old Hoops Fan on here on YouTube. He's kind of like a friend, I would say. He came in just a minute ago. So a colleague, I guess I would say. We have collaborated a couple times in the past. I've gone on his, he does a live stream a couple days a week. I've been on there a couple times. We also go on a different channel, which I'm not going to mention that channel because it's in a little bit of issues currently with YouTube. So, but we collaborated on there as well in the past. And just in general, we're two LeBron truthers. AOH actually reposted some of my early stuff when I was really just hitting the scene. I had like under 1,000 subscribers or just over 1,000, and he started reposting some of my videos. So AOH is watching the SKAP Attack live right now. AOH, welcome in to the lounge, and thank you for your generous support here and donation. What is the question or comment here, Gary, from AOH?
AOH, what's up? I've watched some of your videos. I like the message that you're spreading about LeBron. And AOH, I ask you, go to my channel when you get a chance and check out the new LeBron video that I made. I think that you will enjoy it. So he says, if the Thunder make short work of the Wolves, will it more so mean Denver deserves respect for their 7-game effort, or LeBron losing to Minnesota is embarrassing? I think both.
Yeah, I would say yes. Quite often the answer is always yes. When it's either or, it's both. I think yeah, it's not just this Minnesota series. Like let's take a look at the snapshot of what is the Oklahoma City Thunder's total run. When it's all said and done, I think they're going to cruise to an NBA championship, which I've been saying all year. And let's look back and see, like if they go 4-0 against Memphis, 4-1 against Minnesota, and 4-0 against whoever from the East, and we're sitting there and we're seeing 3 series that were 12-1 easy, like 15 to 20 point margin differential in per game in all of those series. And then the Denver freaking Nuggets, who fired their coach and general manager 6 days before the playoffs even began, a team that had the worst bench in the NBA playoffs by a far margin, by the way. So the shallowest team with no other all-stars, no other all-NBA caliber players, no all-NBA defensive caliber players. That's the only team that threatened them at all, that made them sweat and beyond made them sweat, like took them to the brink, pushed them to the precipice, had them in a winner-take-all elimination game, and really led that series early on. They were up 1-0. They were up 2-1. And then, they equalized them at 3-3. And, they were the only team, that team, hell yes. I think that the Denver Nuggets would then demand an additional level of respect. And, people talking about like Nikola Jokic chokes, Nikola Jokic didn't play well. Like, okay, 29, 15, and 6 on 48% shooting against this team and got it into a 7th game. Like, literally get the hell out of here. So yeah, let's just sit back and look at what happens in the totality of this playoff run. And then, of course, obviously, LeBron is an embarrassment. Like, no matter what, losing to Minnesota in 5. Like, give Nikola Jokic, please God. Like, let's give LeBron, Michael Porter Jr., Jamal Murray, and whoever. Pick a third player. Who you want? You want Aaron Gordon? Do you want Christian Brown? Pick one of those two. So we'll send MPJ, Jamal, and one other undetermined Nugget player, which would be either Christian Brown or Aaron Gordon. And then you send Nikola Jokic back Luka Doncic. I'll tell you what. You surround those two dudes with vet minimums, and they would win an NBA championship, in my opinion. They at least would not have lost in 5 games to the Minnesota Timberwolves. I think that is the one team. Luka Doncic is like the one kind of kryptonite for the Thunder. He's like the one guy that is just so utterly dominant on the perimeter offensively that he can solve that team. And he did it last year. Look, he beat the Thunder, then he went on and beat the Timberwolves and was dominant in that Timberwolves series, even though the Timberwolves are great perimeter on the perimeter defensive end as well. But like Luka Doncic is just so good. And can score in so many ways and has that big body. It's hard. Like he's just so thick and rangy and tall that like it's hard. If you put a smaller guy on him that's like quicker than him, he's going to shoot over you or bully you kind of to the rim. And then if you put a bigger guy on, he's quicker than you. He's going to get to his spots, get like a little bit of freedom on the jump shot. So, and then he's a great passer as well and facilitator. If you put Nikola Jokic and Luka Doncic on one team, that would be poetic. That would be like basketball poetry in motion. So again, AOH, thank you for watching, supporting SKAP Live After Dark here, and shout out to you. And the answer to your question again is yes to both. Okay, we're working our way back up. The Enforcer is back in. The Enforcer checking in for a third time tonight. Thank you, Gary. What is the Enforcer asking or commenting on this time?
I'd like to clarify that SGA is quite skilled, but I can't stand anyone that flops with any consistency. I don't think that's an MVP attribute.
I'm not going to, I won't push back. I mean, that's fair. He's just, he's just being, I think he's just being smart, clever. He's found a way. He's found a cheat. He's hacked the system and he's been getting benefits from it throughout the season, throughout the playoffs. So like, he just keeps going to the well. I think with that said, Shai is still like masterful, a tactically masterful player. I think specifically my own heart kind of is just warmed to see a guy that can operate and function in the mid-range. There's not many that do it anymore. Again, it's like all threes or attacking the basket. Shai can like really beat you in a number of ways. So, I respect Shai. I like his game a lot, but I do not like the foul baiting. So I'm with you on that. Jolly Joshams, regular, come on in. Jolly Joshams, welcome. The water is warm. Regular here to the lounge, regular sponsor. What does Jolly Joshams have for us tonight?
You got a hot take here, SKAP.
Oh, already?
I don't want you to fight with him too much about this. Calling it now, Thunder win it all. And their series with the Nuggets will be their most competitive series they have.
Well, we just talked about this, Jolly Joshams. Hopefully you were listening a few minutes ago, because yes, I think that is going to be the case, and that's why I was so shocked that the series was so close. And look, it wasn't that close. Like the Thunder obliterated the Nuggets in Game 2 and Game 7, but like it got to a 7th game, and then Games 4 and 5 that the Thunder won. The Nuggets were up by 6 and 8 at the end of the third quarter in both of those games. And then the Nuggets kind of dominated them. The one and only game that the Nuggets kind of dominated the Thunder was Game 6 to extend the series to a 7th game and stave off elimination. But other than that, the Nuggets just fought them, battled them, played outside of themselves defensively, relied on the excellence of Nikola Jokic in like 2 or 3 of the games, and then relied on the 2 or 3 defenders that Nikola Jokic was engulfing the rest of the time to let these role players look better than what they actually were. And then, yeah, there we are like that somehow. So people think that the Nuggets like dishonored themselves in some way, or Nikola Jokic like gets taken down some kind of pegs because they got blown to pieces in Game 7. They got it to a Game 7. Like, what else is the rest of the NBA going to do against this team? So yeah, Jolly Joshams, I'm with you 100% on that. And again, many thanks to you and welcome back in a regular. And now we've got Will N, another regular to the lounge. Welcome in, Will N, to you. And what is the comment tonight from Will N? And I see there are 2 in a row from Will N. So thank you. We'll get right to your second comment. But Gary, first, what's Will N got here about the great Kobe Bryant? I see Mamba. What do we got?
White Mamba is the real MVP. Hope he makes all defensive team again.
Gary, who are we speculating is the White Mamba?
Well, at first I thought it was Jokic, but he makes all defensive team again. That's not Jokic. I'm not sure who he's referring to.
Could he possibly be talking about Alex Caruso? Will N, can you confirm? I don't. I mean, Alex Caruso's on that Thunder team. Obviously, he is from a complexion standpoint would map up with the first portion of that comment. And he has made 2 consecutive All-NBA defensive teams. First team 2 years ago, second team last year. I can tell you, Will N, that the All-NBA defensive teams did come out today. And Alex Caruso, if that is who indeed you are talking about, is not on it this year. The Thunder do get 2, which is light to me. I think they should have had 4 or 5. They only get 2, being Lou Dort, first team All-NBA defense, and Jalen Williams, second team All-NBA defense. Great season by Jalen Williams, by the way. He was getting crapped on in that Nuggets series, last series for a couple games. He was fantastic, though, in some games, too. Like, yes, he was awful in some games, but he was great in some games. He was an all-star this year. I think he might be All-NBA third team this year, and he's All-NBA defensive second team this year. And Jalen Williams tonight, big game from him. 26 points for him on 12 of 20 from the field and 10 rebounds, 5 assists. 26, 10, and 5 on 12 of 20 for Jalen Williams, and All-NBA defensive caliber, obviously, as he makes second team. For what I think is the third best player technically on the team, is I think Chet Holmgren is the second best player on that team. But yeah, Will N, if you could just clarify, Gary, just keep an eye on if Will N comes in and clarifies exactly who he's referring to there. Okay. We'll be happy to talk about that. But next, Will N, the second comment from Will N, what do we got this time?
I feel like by Mecca, people mean as in people coming from there. Like, for instance, MJ is from Brooklyn, New York.
Is he? I actually don't know that. I know he was born. He was essentially, I guess he might have been born there. He was raised in North Carolina, and still lived in North Carolina, I think, for his into his adult years. He probably has one of 15 houses still in North Carolina.
Yeah, Michael Jordan was born in Brooklyn, New York City on February 17th, 1963.
Okay. And yes, there are a number of elite basketball talents that hail from New York at the NBA level and otherwise. I want to say Kareem Abdul-Jabbar at the time, of course, Lou Alcindor was a basketball prodigy in the high school system in New York, I believe. And actually, here's a little story, guys. Sit back and listen here. This is an edition of SKAP's Fables, or SKAP's a history, a walk down history lane here. Gary, while I'm setting this up, can you confirm Lou Alcindor's place of birth for me?
It says Harlem.
Okay, so yep, there you go. So Lou Alcindor, a.k.a. who would later go on to become known as Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, one of the consensus top 3 to 5 all-time great players in league history, was a basketball prodigy, one of the great high school players ever. And I believe he would tell the story of this famed, I think, state championship or city league championship back when he was a high school star. And he played this player. He met this player multiple times throughout his high school career that he referred to. I heard him in an interview like 20 years ago. So after he had retired from the NBA already. So this was several years in the past now, this interview that I'm about to talk about from Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. But it was after a full career in the NBA. He retired, obviously. I think he was like 42 or 43 years old when he retired from the NBA. So after that long, lengthy career playing all-time greats throughout his NBA career, he said that still to this day, Earl Manigault is the best player that he had ever played against on a basketball court. And that was back in the high school days. Earl Manigault is the legendary, the man goat, is what he's known as today. I think he is deceased many years now. He never did make it, so to speak. He never got out. He never got his break into the NBA landscape. He got mixed up in a life of crime. Drugs kind of was his undoing, unfortunately. But according to Lou Alcindor, a.k.a. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, still, even after he retired from the NBA, Earl Manigault, the man goat, a.k.a., is still the best player he ever played against. And the man goat is, I believe was one of the principal founders or is involved in some way with the build, the construction, the rise of Rutgers Park, which is, of course, a legendary street ball court circuit in New York, where several NBA legends have gone over the past. I think Kevin Durant played there. Kobe went to Rutgers Park when he was like early 2000s Kobe. So several NBA legends have populated that, graced that court, obviously. So yes, I understand the mystique of New York, obviously the importance that it carries as a pipeline for NBA talent, just basketball talent in general. But yeah, unfortunately, it's ironic though that their NBA team has just been straight poo-poo for like 50 years. So hopefully we've all been rooting for them here in the lounge. I was rooting for them coming into this series, coming into these playoffs. But I don't think they're going to be able to overcome that massive choke job last night. We'll see what kind of character they have beginning with tomorrow night around 8 p.m. in the Garden. But many thanks, Will N, to you. And actually, I just want to jump ahead real quick and clarify on Will N's comment. We were speculating on who he was talking about as the AKA White Mamba. And I speculated that he was talking about Alex Caruso, AKA Caruso, as Will N is pointing out here. So Gary, please read this point of clarification. Not that we needed it, Will, because I did guess properly of who you were talking about. But go ahead, Gary.
Yeah, sorry. By White Mamba, I meant Caruso. But as someone else in chat pointed out, unfortunately, he missed too many games.
Correct. He was second team All-NBA defense last year. He's first team All-NBA defense the year before. Second in point of attack on-ball defense last year. He's one of the elite defenders. He's also like a 3-and-D guy. He's going to make big threes for you. He's going to make, I think he shot like over 40% in like 2 of the last 3 years. So one of the elite catch and shoot guys as well. Just a terrific bench asset. Like the fact that this dude's coming off the bench, like he's a champion. He won with the Lakers in the bubble. He's just a quintessential glue guy. He's a great guy on your team. I think he's like a 4th or 5th best kind of player on a championship caliber team. Hell, he's like the 6th or 7th best player on this Thunder team. That's how damn good they are. But yes, he played in only 54 games this year. So unfortunately, he is. He's going to miss that designation this year, but he's there. He's playing at that level at this point. Same thing with Chet Holmgren. I think Chet Holmgren is all NBA defensive caliber. For the first 3 weeks of the season, I was thinking he was going to, finish second to Victor Wembanyama in Defensive Player of the Year voting. He missed 50 games, so he's not going to be designated anything this year, but they're all there and healthy now. So you basically have 4 or 5 All-NBA defensive caliber players on one freaking team. No wonder they look like this. I want to jump ahead real quick. I'm jumping all over the place. I'm going to make sure I hit all of these. I think I left off above on R. Chester. I will be back up, but I see my main man is in here. I got to give a shout out. When did he sent this only 2 minutes ago. So hopefully he's still on here, and hopefully it's not past his bedtime. I met this young gentleman. For those of you that don't know, I'm sure several of you do. I am a regular contributor on the Jason Whitlock show, Fearless. And in about a month ago, in mid-April, I went down to Nashville, and I was in studio for 3 days with Jason Whitlock. And I met his staff, just three guys, the inner workings of that day in and day out operation in studio, at least. One of them being Luke Jett, who is a great guy that I was fortunate enough to meet and hang out with in my time in studio there. So shout out to Luke. Luke is a big Thunder fan. So he's obviously in here reveling about his OKC Thunder being up 2-0 now in the West Finals. And good luck to Minnesota. You know, some people I see suggesting that the Timberwolves are going to make this a series. Good luck beating this team 4 times out of 5. Like, it just ain't going to happen. So Luke's probably reveling in that. But at the same time, Luke's got a different question, classy that he is. He's not going to come in here and kick his feet up and run his mouth and talk his shit about his Thunder. He's obviously earned the right, as has every Thunder fan around the U.S. Right now at this point. But Luke wants to know about something else. Now, a burning question about a big offseason question coming up this summer. Gary, go ahead and read Luke. And Luke, thank you for your very generous donation here to the SKAP Live After Dark Lounge. Gary, what does Luke want to know?
Who's going to, excuse me, who's going to win the Giannis sweepstakes?
Yeah, we've been talking about that in the lounge, Luke, in the last couple weeks. You know, we've been doing this now, I don't know, about 3 weeks now. Mostly every night if we can, though. Breaking news, I might not be on tomorrow night. We'll talk about it later on in the show. Gary, this is obviously news to you too. We can talk about that later on as the show goes. But yes, I think, look, Giannis is a potential game-changing chip this summer because, to me, as I look at the landscape of the NBA right now, when I look at the books for all of the top tier teams, when I look at the free agents that are available on the market right now, there is nothing that could change the complexity of the league that would have me thinking that there is anything else but an easy back-to-back title run coming up for the Oklahoma City Thunder next year. But the one element that could change all of that, the one chip, is Giannis Antetokounmpo, who I think will be entering his 13th season next year and will be turning 31 maybe. If he's not, maybe he's 31 now or he just turned 31, but he's, you know, getting kind of old. He's going to be in his 13th season from a standpoint of how many years he's played, but he's still only 31 years old. He's top 3 or 4 in every significant advanced metric this year. He's 3rd in MVP voting this year. He's another crazy statistic. This guy rolls out of his bed and just drops 30, 12, and 6 like every year for like 5 or 6 years. He's first team All-NBA 7 straight years in a row. He's top 5 in MVP voting, I think, 7 straight years now in a row. So this guy is still, to me, the upper echelon of the NBA. It's between him and SGA as the second best player in the NBA behind Nikola Jokic. So if this dude can get to a team that doesn't gut itself enough, that they still have competitive pieces around it, like Giannis is the one scale mover that could maybe derail the Thunder championship run defense next year. But it would have to be the right situation that he goes to, meaning like he'd have to go to the Nuggets. Well, that ain't going to happen. The Nuggets don't have the pieces. They don't have the assets either from a young asset standpoint or a draft collateral standpoint. So he ain't going there. He'd have to go to Cleveland, maybe. I'd have to look and see what their draft collateral looks like moving forward. They do, though, have enough young, good talent, I think, that they could send some good young pieces if they have 4 or 5 first-round picks over the next 5 seasons that they could send along with like 1 or 2 of those good young pieces. Like maybe Cleveland's a destination, and then I think maybe Cleveland's a contender. But I think the reality is, Luke, to get back and finally answer your question here, it's going to be between Houston and San Antonio. I think Moderator Gary hates the idea of the Spurs. He doesn't want him, mainly because he doesn't want to sacrifice the good young talent and core that the Spurs have worked so hard the last couple years amassing. He doesn't want to sacrifice the future for the present. I get it. And we'll see if the front office agrees with Gary or not. But I think because the Spurs won, they didn't win the draft lottery, obviously. That was Dallas got the first overall pick. But this is a good draft, and the Spurs have the 2nd overall pick and the 14th. So they could package that plus maybe 1 or 2 firsts and then 1 or 2 pieces of this young core, send it out and keep De'Aaron Fox, Victor Wembanyama, and bring in Giannis Antetokounmpo. I think that's enticing to the Spurs organizationally and to several fans not named Moderator Gary. But then I think Houston, to me, makes the most sense. I think Houston will likely be the team to me. Houston was the surprise number 2 seed. Everybody forgets about this because they lost in the first round in 7 to the Warriors. But, you know, I think that Houston won. I think they won 52 games. They were the number 2 seed. They have a great coach, Ime Udoka. I love Ime Udoka. Cannot sing that dude's praises enough. And a great young core. Like Alperen Şengün, a.k.a. Baby Jokic, was an all-star. I think he's a budding all-NBA perennial talent. Jalen Green there is like a Devin Booker light type player. Now I think he's going to grow into like a perennial, like 25, 5-5 guy. So like those are your 2 pieces. They're like 21, 22 years old only. Amen Thompson, who is like a future budding stud. Like if you can keep somehow those 3 guys, which is a big ask, but you send, maybe even if you sacrifice Thompson maybe and just keep Green and Şengün and send, you're gonna have to send like 4 or 5 first rounds, which they have like 8 first round picks that they control between now and 2031. So you send 4 or 5 picks, 1 or 2 of those assets, you bring in Giannis, and it's just a good move for both. Like Houston can sit back and say, look, we won 52. We were the 2 seed. We clearly don't have enough. Like we're clearly 1 piece away. We lost in 7 in the first round. We're too young. We need an experienced vet that can lead us and show us how to win. Boom, that's Giannis. Giannis, meanwhile, gets to say, I'm not going to a super team. Like I'm not going to LA and teaming up with Luke and LeBron. I'm not going to Denver and teaming up with Jokic. I'm joining a young, unproven team that lost in the first round. I think then when you bring Giannis in there, you've got lengthy wing defenders that I keep talking about. That's what you need. Long, interchangeable, like 2-3 guys, like guys that could defend forwards or defend guards that are like 6'7", have like 6'9", 6'10" wingspans. Bunch of those dudes, shooters maybe around. And then if you keep Şengün and, Şengün kind of like a central piece underneath, Green like a scorer, a dynamic scorer, potentially, for later stages of the games. And Giannis essentially can just focus on, I'm going to rebound, defend, and run the court, basically. That's a scary team. And I think, in my estimation, Houston ultimately will win the Giannis Antetokounmpo sweepstakes. But the Spurs certainly can make it intriguing if they want to get into it, because they've got the leg up, I think, on having that number 2 overall pick that they could leverage as well. So I think it's between those 2. To me, I would probably favor Houston. I think Houston would be a better landing spot. Gary, that's music to Gary's ears, I'm sure. So Luke, but shout out to you overall. Thank you again, Luke. He's a great guy, very talented young member. I should say member of the team on that Whitlock show, Fearless. So thank you, though, Luke, for sliding into the lounge here with SKAP Live After Dark and supporting us. And now I do want to just jump back up here to R. Chesser, who we left off on. R. Chesser, who is another regular here in the lounge. Thank you for your continued support and generosity here for me and for us here. Gary, what does R. Chesser have this evening?
These lives in the lounge are bomb and entertaining, Skap. You are the true MVP. If Wolves lose in 4 or 5 to OKC, which they will, what does this say? What does this say about the Lakers?
Yeah, we've been kind of talking about this, but this came in about a half an hour ago. As always, I am criminally behind on these super chats, so I apologize to you guys who are sending these in and supporting me, and I'm like 20 or 30 minutes behind all the time on these. I just like talking. Like, you guys are raising good questions, making good points. Like, it just gives me things I like to talk about. So I get a little long in the tooth, so a little long-winded, I guess I should say, on some of my answers in these, but I can't help it. Yeah, what does it say? Pitiful. It's embarrassing. Like, Luka Doncic went to the NBA Finals last year. He beat the Wolves in 5 last year. Now, it's not the same team, obviously. They got, Julius Randle this year and Dante DiVincenzo for Karl-Anthony Towns. But, I think that was actually ended up being a good move for the Wolves. Ultimately, they get Randle, who's been good until tonight, most of the playoffs. They fill out their bench a little bit more. DiVincenzo's been a very valuable piece coming off the bench there. So, but what does it say when Luka Doncic, especially, particularly he was like a Wolves slayer last year. They just could not stop him last year. He got through them in 5 after beating the Thunder in 6. And really, they won a tough series. They weren't even really they weren't picked by many to beat the Clippers in the first round last year. So kind of just this unheralded run by Luka Doncic all the way through to the finals, and they kind of quit and ran out of gas in the finals. It was a disappointing effort, I think, from him and the entire team against the Celtics. But now, so Luka basically, AD is a top 10 player. Like Anthony Davis, when he's not hurt, like he was the only player in the league last year that made an All-NBA team and All-NBA defensive team designation. He was second team All-NBA, first team All-NBA defense. So like LeBron won one game in the first round with that last year, lost in 5 to the Nuggets in the first round. They upgrade him. They trade in AD, who's like a top 10 player, for a top 3 or 4 player in Luka, who came into this year with 5 consecutive first-team All-NBA selections and was third in MVP last year, went to the finals. So they upgrade AD and then lose in 5 in the first round. Like, what's the common denominator in all this? It's LeBron. So what does it say about LeBron? I've been saying it. The longer he stays in, the worse it looks. The longevity is working against him at this point. He should have just got out. Like when they won when he won his 4th bubble garbage ring in the bubble there, he should have just retired. If he just retired after 2021 or whatever, at like 37, however old he would have been at that point, with 4 rings, with 3 different teams, like I think it would have looked better than what it looks like now when you look back at the longevity, all the years he's been at this peak, like top 2 All-NBA team lines for this long with this much supporting talent around him to continually fail like in pitiful fashion. Like he's been out of the first round once since that bubble title. So it's just getting worse and worse for him. It doesn't look good, our Chester, to answer your question. That's how it looks. Not good. We've got next in, we've already done AOH again. Shout out to you, AOH, if you're still here. We've got Franco the Italian, who is a regular, coming from somewhere from Europe, I guess, where it's morning. So good morning to you, Franco. Welcome back in. Welcome to the party, pal, in the venerable words of John McClane. A regular here, a regular sponsor. Gary, what does Franco want to say, or what does he want to ask?
Morning, guys. We all know who the real MVP is. Even more so watching SGA rely on the best whistle in the NBA.
Yeah, I mean, again, we got a lot of free throw discussions going on, foul baiting conversations, officiating things to be talked about here in the lounge tonight. Again, I try to stay away from it, but I'm not going to hide from it. Like Shai he gets a damn good whistle. Like he gets touch fouls on one end while they're absolutely mugging and destroying other teams on the other side defensively, and pretty much for the most part getting away from it, getting away with it. Caruso did foul out tonight. That was actually odd to see. Like Caruso was mugging Nikola Jokic all game. Like Caruso had like 17 fouls in reality in Game 7 against Nikola Jokic. So it was weird to see him foul out tonight. That because he just kept being allowed to do it throughout the entirety of that Game 7. Whereas Shai, again, tonight, it's just going to be a pervasive theme. 15 free throws tonight that he shot tonight. And he's a 90-ish% shooter. So yeah, I get it. They can come at you in so many ways. They can beat you in so many ways. They can throw so many things at you that like the Shai free throw element is just just one more thing. It's like, it's already impossible enough to beat these guys. You have to play literally perfect basketball for 4 games in 4 quarters, and then somehow also not give up like 12, 13, 14 free throws to Shai on the back end. Like it's just so impossible to beat these guys. I've been saying it for 8 months. But thank you, thank you, Franco. Archester was the one before that we did. And welcome in Lightspeed. What I see a little bit of this comment. Gary, go ahead and read Lightspeed's comment. And thank you, Lightspeed, for sponsoring us.
SKAP Live After Dark sounds kind of raunchy.
I mean, we're pretty PG here. I don't think we get into too many racy or raunchy things here, but Yeah, welcome in, Lightspeed, to the lounge. You're in the SKAP Live After Dark lounge here. We're just answering questions, comments, and we're talking not about raunchy things. We're talking about the dominant Oklahoma City Thunder, who beat the Minnesota Timberwolves tonight, 118-103. That is a 15-point cruising victory for them on the heels of their 26-point victory in game one. The venue will shift now. We're going to Minnesota for the next two, where I fully anticipate that these Thunder will at least split them there and take it back 3-1 to Oklahoma City, where this thing will end quickly and swiftly in 5. So nothing raunchy, but thank you, Lightspeed, for coming in and for supporting us here in the lounge. We know
you do have one raunchy clip that you show on your videos a lot, and that's pretty R-rated, and that's LeBron James and Anthony Davis clip in their little celebration. That's pretty potentially raunchy, in my opinion.
Yeah, Gary's discussing. For those of you that are familiar with my work, watch my videos, I use a clip pretty regularly. It is LeBron and AD like bumping foreheads and like looking longly into each other's eyes. It looks like they're maybe going to make out, honestly, in this clip. If you know what I'm talking about. The clip itself comes from 2 years ago in the mid-season exhibit tournament thing, the whatever we're calling the Emirates Cup thing that we're calling it, where the Lakers blew the Pacers out in the final game to win that. And then they were spraying themselves with champagne, if you remember, in the locker room afterwards. They hung a damn banner in Staples Center for this thing. But in the waning moments of that like blowout 20-plus point victory for the Lakers, that's where that clip hails from, where AD and LeBron look like they're just going to start like making out with each other on the court. So that's kind of what Gary's talking about on that front. But no, typically we keep it pretty PG here, Lightspeed, but thank you. We've touched on a couple of these other ones now. We find ourselves now with SKAP's Extra Strong Cologne, who's a regular. And look, we've got a new avatar in here. He keeps changing his little avatar. He has now changed it again. It is still an unflattering looking picture of myself, which, guys, come on, look at his avatar there if you can, his little thumbnail thing. And then, I mean, come on, look at the real SKAP. I mean, you tell me what's matching up there. I think he's doctoring these photos in some way, but a funny one nonetheless. I can't fully make that out. Gary, what am I holding? Am I holding a book or something?
That's a bottle of cologne. That's your Sex Panther line. How do you not know that?
Okay, so I'm holding my cologne bottle there, and the handle is SKAP's Extra Strong Cologne. Obviously, he's marketing the product now for me as well. There, what is the question or comment? And actually, I got Luke Jett back in, as you guys know. Luke, who we talked about, who dropped us a very generous sponsorship earlier, and he had a question about Giannis. He actually just texted me offline, and he said, "SKAP's Extra Strong Cologne, man, WTF," with crying emojis, hilarious. So SKAP's Extra Strong Cologne. Luke, you've got a fan of Luke here. Maybe Luke might want to order a bottle of Extra Strong Cologne, maybe. My Sex Panther line. I also have a heinous line as well, which that's probably not for everybody. I think that's more of an acquired taste or smell, I should say. But Gary, what does SKAP's Extra Strong Cologne have for us right now?
Yeah, this is just an observation, and I agree with it. I think you will as well. He says, it seems to me that SGA could play only 2 to 3 quarters in each of the remaining playoff games, and the Thunder would still win all of them by 15-plus points.
Yeah, the bench wasn't great tonight for OKC, actually. And Daigneault look, he's going to play 5 for sure. But like only a few of these guys got, elevated minutes tonight. Isaiah Joe only got 3 minutes. Like, it's crazy. Like I talked about Isaiah Joe earlier. He was 3rd in plus minus this year in the entire NBA, plus 540 on the year. And he's like top 50 in BPM, VORP, PER. Like, this guy got 3 minutes tonight. I mean, so Daigneault has tightened the rotation a bit, as is not crazy that happens in the playoffs. Coaches typically do, but when you saw these guys, the bench get like elevated minutes during the regular season, I mean, they're really good. Like a bunch of their bench players are really good. Wiggins, Joe, Wallace, like it's just crazy. Caruso. There was one game, I think it was against Portland, later in the season where the Thunder sat all 5 of their starters in a game. They were actually investigated by the NBA for rules violations, the competitive rule violation or whatever, because they sat literally all 5 guys, all 5 starters. And they won that game by like 21 or 22 points. And their bench is just so good. Like it is crazy. It seems that literally SGA could just sit out half the games the rest of the way in the playoffs and they would still win. I don't know if they win them all by 15 plus, but I think if Shai were only available 2 quarters a night, they would still win the NBA championship moving forward this year. I think that is just how good they are. So Scap's extra strong cologne. Great point there. Gary, I'm going to just moderately jump ahead. I don't know what this is exactly. This is some odd currency. I don't really know what it is, but I do. Whatever it is, it's 400 something. So I just want to give a shout out to Naveen Bellini. I don't know. Help me out here. Bellini.
Bellanini. It looks
Bellanini.
like.
Yeah. I get tripped up on some of these. Some of the pronunciation.
Italian.
On some of these, it does sound, and I don't know. I'm interested. Whenever I see a unique bit of currency come in, I always want to know where is it coming. Where is it coming from? What is that currency? And I'd like to just give a shout out to wherever they're coming from. But Naveen, wherever you're coming from, many thanks for your generous donation of 400, whatever that is. Gary, what is the question or comment from Naveen?
Got into watching NBA thanks to Michael Jordan and Nikola Jokic. Been a fan of you since. Is there any chance that either Jokic be traded to a team like the Pacers? It kills me to see his prime wasted. Wow. That would be an interesting team.
Yeah, Naveen, I think, look, my dream scenario for Jokic is I talked about Houston in the context of the Giannis sweepstakes earlier. But I think the dream scenario would actually be Jokic to Houston. And that the match would be much better for Houston. And for Denver. I think, Alperen Şengün, who was an all-star this year, I think he's a fringe perennial all-NBA talent coming up. He's like 20, 10, and 5 per game this year at like 21 or 22 years old. Routinely referred to as, like I said, as the baby Jokic. He's making 20 mil. He's making like 35 mil. And what's his name? I'm drawing a total blank. The enforcer from Memphis that got into it with LeBron last year, drawing a total blank.
Bane?
No,
I'll look it up. Keep talking. I'll get it for you.
I can't. I just for the life of me can't think of.
I'm looking over the roster right now. Memphis's roster. Okay, Desmond Bane.
No.
Jaren Jackson.
Dylan Brooks.
Oh, Dylan Brooks. Oh, he's on Houston. Oh, that's
exactly.
That's why I can't stand Dylan Brooks.
So Dylan Brooks, look, for just a contract match, Dylan Brooks makes about 20 mil, and Alperen Şengün makes 35 mil. Jokic makes 55 mil. So those two swapped out for Jokic matches contractually. You don't need another team. You don't need to throw in a bunch of players. Just those two, straight up Jokic. You get a young, stud, perennial, budding, future All-NBA caliber player in Alperen Şengün, who has a similar game style to Nikola Jokic, who is 10 years younger than Nikola Jokic. So, and then, look, you package 4 or 5 first-round picks as Houston and send those along to Denver too. Denver would take that. They would absolutely take that. And then Nikola Jokic gets to go to a team with all the things I'm saying that he needs. Just defensive-minded, lengthy, interchangeable pieces, and he can just build those guys up offensively. I think that is an absolute can't miss for both sides. I think Nikola Jokic wins 2 rings more the rest of his career with that team. So I'm talking Nikola Jokic 3 titles probably moving forward for the rest of his career if that is the deal. But Nikola Jokic is just, Naveen, to answer your question, what is the likelihood that he gets traded? It's a 0. Because in order for Nikola Jokic to get traded, he's going to have to demand it. He's going to have to go to ownership and say, I'm done here. Like, please, I played my last game here. This team isn't good enough. These players stink. I can't win here. Please move me. That ain't in his DNA, unfortunately. All those things are true. The players do stink. The team isn't good enough. He can't win there. But it's not in that guy's DNA. He's too competitive. He's too classy. He's too loyal to his organization, to his teammates. He instead of doing that this summer, which he 100% should do, he's instead going to go sign a 3-year, $200 million extension to wrap him up into his like mid-30s there with Denver, where he's going to play with Jamal Murray as the second best player in perpetuity. So the chances are 0, unfortunately, Naveen. But thank you for supporting me. Thank you not just for your generous donation tonight, but for being a fan of mine all along here and following me and supporting me throughout the years here into my second full year of doing this. Crazy to believe that I have like 75,000 people on here following me now, and Naveen being one of them. So I appreciate you very much. And I share your pain and misery with watching like a top 10 all-time players prime just flush down the toilet here.
And now we're going back up to Xavier.
Okay. Xavier DeGod, who is a regular. Xavier, welcome into you. I see a crazy question here for me coming up, but I think I can handle it. Gary, what does Xavier want to know?
Yeah, he's asking me to chime in as well. And I got to say, this is something that's going to require a video here. I don't think you're going to be able to break all this down in just a short time here. This is pretty loaded. SKAP and Gary rate these players from least to greatest.
Look at these names.
Top 15 players of all time. Just rank them all right now off the top of your head. MJ, Kobe, Kareem, Magic, Duncan, Bill Russell, Wilt, LeBron, Shaq, Curry, and West. Well, my top 2 are going to be MJ and Wilt, just off the top of my head.
And my top 2, of course, are MJ and Kobe. But you've been breaking me down on Wilt, and as has, quite frankly, the fact that I have Hakeem Olajuwon so high, Hakeem not pictured on or not mentioned in this list. I have Hakeem in my top 5, maybe top 4. I'm going back and forth with him 4 and 5 line. So like he's only got 2 rings. And then Jokic is probably only going to have 1. So now I'm starting to go back and look at these extremely dominant individual players that just didn't have the requisite supporting cast like Hakeem and like Wilt, who maybe I have minimized in the past, Wilt, because he overlapped with Bill Russell, who is mentioned, who I do have very highly on my list. So, but maybe I need to go back and really dig into the context of Wilt's runs and see his team composition around him. And I might be moving Wilt up pretty highly on my list. Right now I have Wilt below Russell. So just to kind of give you some kind of an answer, Xavier, Gary's right. This isn't an easy question to answer. I already spend pretty long on questions like this question here. Could take me, I could filibuster on this. Like you could take me to the Senate floor or whatever, or the Congress, whatever, the House of Representatives, and just put me in the middle of the pulpit and say, SKAP, just talk for a full day about this. I could probably just go on for 24 hours about this. So just to try to give you some kind of answer though, I've got right now, I would say I have MJ and Kobe at my top spots there. Probably then Kareem, then Duncan. Then probably Russell, then Wilt, then Magic, then probably LeBron, then Shaq, then West, and then Curry would probably be. I think I touched on all those. And Curry and West, I don't know. I have to think about it a little bit more. Some of these I'd have to think about a little bit more. And there's some guys that I rank very highly that are not mentioned in this list. I already mentioned Hakeem Olajuwon. Larry Bird is another one. I'm one of the people Well, I have Hakeem over a lot of people. I have Hakeem like 4th or 5th all time. And I'm one of the people, I think they're kind of interchangeable. I could maybe have them on the same line, but if you put a gun to my head and said, Scap, I'm going to pull the trigger unless you say one name, Bird, Magic, I would have Bird above Magic. So Bird not mentioned on this list either, but I have Bird just slightly above Magic. Great question, Xavier. You always come with the great questions. He peppered me with some Kobe hypotheticals last night. So thank you for your continued support here and sponsorship of us. Speaking of continued support and sponsorship, another regular to the lounge who's always in here and donating every single night. I'm very thankful for that. Mason, welcome in. And Gary, what does Mason have for us?
Hopefully this series has dispelled the notion that Ant and Jokic are on the same tier.
Yeah, I don't know. People like last year in the playoffs, like when the Timberwolves beat the Nuggets, like there was this narrative like Ant-Man is better than Jokic or something like that. Crazy, just absolutely ridiculous. Jokic was the best player in that series by a large margin. Statistically, he was the best. From an advanced standpoint, he was the best. And he was, again, as with the Thunder series this year, like the asks are not the same, right? Like we have to grade it. I made this analogy a few nights ago, and I'm going to make it again because it's just such a damn good analogy, guys, quite frankly, to pat myself on the back. In the Olympic sports, you gauge things, you judge them not just on what their performance looks like, on the dive that they complete, on the triple axles that they make on the ice, that the ring performance or the uneven bars or the parallel bar performance or the beam performance that they do in gymnastics. You not only look at like, oh, okay, that was a flawless performance. They stuck every landing, blah, blah, blah. But you also, there are levels of difficulty. The programs carry with them difficulty tiers and rankings, and you gauge them against the difficulty level that they're trying to go up against. So like you might see a flawless show by one of these gymnasts or ice skaters, and then versus there might be like a little flaw or a little mistake from another contender, but that person that made like a little hiccup here or there, they were doing a much more difficult program than the one that had a flawless run. So like you have to look, I'm gauging Nikola Jokic on a curve of difficulty. Like he has to play the Thunder with Alex Caruso hanging on his back, and then Hartenstein and Holmgren waiting like 3 feet behind him to converge and mob him at the rim once he gets by. Like it's not the same as say like Shai. So like when you look at Shai's stats and Jokic's stats, stat for stat in this last series, like, okay, it looks like kind of a toss-up. Like Shai and Jokic like kind of played each other even. Not the case. Jokic outplayed Shai substantially, because while Jokic is playing like the best defensive team this century with like 4 or 5 all-NBA caliber defenders, Shai is playing the 18th ranked defense this year and Jamal Murray on defense, or Christian Brown. Like it's not the same. So like the same thing was true last year. Jokic still outdid Anthony Edwards, stat for stat or whatever, if you want to look at it. But he also was playing against Cat was hanging on. Karl Anthony Towns, like 7'2", was hanging all over him. He was like the front man for Caruso that Caruso played this year. That's what Cat was doing. 7'2", like 260-pound Cat was doing that. Then when Jokic beat him, oh, okay, 4-time Defensive Player of the Year, Rudy Gobert at the rim waiting for you. Like it's not the same. The program this guy's facing is substantially higher. The ask is much higher than any of these other players that he's playing against, because his team defense stinks and his perimeter guys stink on defense. So like even if their stats look similar or fairly equivalent to what Jokic did, Jokic has a much, much more difficult bar to clear. So great point there. And from you, Mason, and thank you again for your continued support. Will N is back in. Will N's been in, 4 or 5 times tonight. So welcome back in to Will N. And Gary, what is the ask this time from Will N?
For the Sixers, should they just build around Maxey or send the poor guy somewhere else while he's still in his prime? How much longer is his contract? I think they should probably make him the center point, because Embiid's probably not going to be around much longer, is he?
Here's the thing. The 76ers have about the worst books you can possibly imagine.
Worse than the Nuggets?
Yeah, I think you can make a case.
Wow.
They gave, Gary, what if I were to tell you, and everyone watching in SKAP Lounge area tonight, we still have, about 250 with us here. Thank you guys for sticking with us. It's a little bit past 1 a.m. on the East Coast in the USA. We're trickling in here on the 2-hour mark of the lounge, but we still got some questions to answer here. And I'm going to talk a little bit on this one, actually. Will, and thank you for providing me something to sound off on. I seem to get trapped in these from time to time. But what if I were to tell you, Gary and lounge participants, that the two of the highest paid NBA players in league history are currently on the Sixers books? The highest paid player, and I'm talking contracts only. So earned, money earned for playing on the court throughout contracts that are have either been executed or that are guaranteed fully, so that will eventually be paid out to them. LeBron is the highest paid player in NBA history, followed by Steph Curry, followed by Joel Embiid, followed by, I think, Kevin Durant, and then followed by Paul George. So Paul George and Joel Embiid, two of the 5 human beings in league history to earn at least $500 million in on-court earnings. And Tyrese Maxey's in his own mega deal. He signed some preposterous max for him extension, like $200+ million. All of those contracts were executed this summer. So 4 or 5, 8 months ago in the summer, they gave Joel a $250 million extension. And they gave Paul George $200 million, and they gave Maxey $200 million. Just to really talk about the complexity of it, Joel Embiid is contractually obligated to the Sixers. I'm sorry, he has a player option in 28-29 season. So next year, the year after that, and the year after that, Embiid is on the book still. 55 mil, 57 mil, 62 mil in 27-28. Then the following year, he has a player option for 67 mil. All the while, Paul George has 55 million plus coming to him for the next 3. And then Tyrese Maxey, 37 next year, 40 the following year, 43 the year after that, and 46 the year after that. So roughly 4 mil for him per year for the next 4 years. Gary, right now, Joel Embiid, Paul George, and Tyrese Maxey cumulatively in fully guaranteed contracts from the 76ers. The Sixers are on the books for roughly $600 million over the next 4 or 5 years for those 3 players. So you tell me, that's just about worse than the Nuggets in my opinion, because Paul George and Embiid are never going to play. They keep getting hurt. If they're both magically healthy for 75 games and ready for the playoffs, that team's pretty good.
Right.
But they can't, they miss half the year every year. So and they're now into their 30s. So it's not like it's magically going to get any better. And other than that, you don't have much on the books, but they're already capped out. Just for next year, they're already at 177 million. And the cap is expected to be next year. It's expected to rise to about 154 million. So they're already in luxury tax range next year already, and verging on apron 1 range tier. So that's already for next year with not a lot on the books other than them. Then the following year, they have practically nothing on the books. Gary, they've got just Embiid, Maxey, Embiid, George, and Maxey on the books. Then a very small amount of money, $8 million total, committed to Jared McCain, Ricky Council IV, and Adam Bona. Just $4 million each to those guys. And those are team option contracts, all of them. So literally in 2026, 2027, they basically only have 3 guys on the books, but it's those big 3. And it's still over the salary cap. Right now, though, just those 3 guys alone are slated to make $162 million that year. So you're basically going out with mid-level exceptions and vet minimums, trying to fill out the entire roster around those 3 guys that will play essentially half the year, at least 2 of them. So, Will N, to answer your question, Tyrese Maxey, Like, I hope it's worth it, bro. Like, I hope you got the bank and you're laughing all the way to it, because this is like a helpless situation for Tyrese Maxey. Like, and I don't know any way out for the Sixers. Who the hell is going to take Joel Embiid and his $227 million guaranteed over the next 5 years? Like, who is going to take Paul George and his $203 million guaranteed over the next 4 years? Like, nobody. Like, the only asset you do have is Maxey. So I just don't know. Like, the Sixers are in a world of hurt. I think they are basically Denver East. But the thing is, the greatest player probably on that team is Embiid, and Embiid is part of the problem. So at least, like, Embiid is part of the reason they're in a world of hurt. Whereas, like, Nikola Jokic is playing 75 games plus every year, is like first team All NBA and should be the MVP every year. Like, he unfortunately is in a world of hurt, and it's of no doing of his own. So, like, that's why I don't really feel any kind of way of sorrow for the Philadelphia 76ers and their plight right now, like I do for Nikola Jokic. And
Paul George is now a podcaster who plays in the NBA part-time. That's who Paul George is.
I mean, Gary, Paul George in the next year, the year after that, and the year after that, $155 million guaranteed, roughly 50 per year. Paul George is now, I mean, I'm bad at math. He was born in 1990. What does that make him? 35 years old?
Yep.
So he's 35 years old. These are his games played in the last, oh my God, since 2018, 2019. That's 6 years now. So since 6 years ago, when he played 77 games, these are the amount of games he's totaled per year: 48, 54, 31, 56, 74, and 41. So, like, that 1 year last year was like the outlier. And what did that last year have in common? What was the outlier about that last year, Gary?
Last year he was playing for a new contract. In the 74 games.
Bingo, Gary.
Played.
Bingo. The 2 years this dude's played, managed to strain himself to play in the 70s, was when he was trying to get paid. And then when he gets the money, he plays half the season then every year in his contract. It's pathetic, honestly.
How are these owners so stupid? I don't understand that. Why would you pay injury? This is at least making Jerry Jones not look quite as delusional by overpaying Dak the way he has, which that's a topic for itself. But this is just downright idiotic. I don't understand. This doesn't make sense from an economic standpoint. So this is what the players' power empowerment move looks like. They just get to rip off the owners and as a byproduct, rip off the fans as well. The product is weak and watered down now.
And that's why, like, the Sixers, quite frankly, look, if you tell me you have a fully engaged, healthy Joel Embiid, a fully engaged, healthy Paul George, a fully engaged, healthy Tyrese Maxey going into the playoffs, I'm like, oh, okay, that's interesting. That they can make a run, they can get to the finals, but that's never going to happen. Like,
right.
Like, not only are these guys injury prone as hell, like, I just question their desire to play and compete for, those amount of games and to be available. Like, some of it, look, Joel Embiid went off on the press this year and said, like, he said, quote, "I work too effing hard for this. Like, I give too effing much." He went on this profanity-laced tirade about how unfair it is for him to be criticized because of all the sacrifices he makes and how badly he wants to be out on the court and how hard he tries. Let me just say this very clearly. And the same thing applies to Jamal Murray. If you have a history of injuries, some of it has to do, some of it at least, with your conditioning and your work ethic off the court during the off season. So, like, Jamal Murray was hurt last year in the playoffs. I think no one would reject that premise. He signed a $250 million extension in the summer. And instead of trying to get healthy in the summer, to come back well-conditioned, he instead decides to go play in the Olympics for Team Canada.
Right.
And he looked terrible. And then he was terrible for half the year. And this is the reason why people are like, oh, Scap, Jamal Murray is all-star level. He's just never an all-star. He's never an all-star because he comes in, quite frankly, fat and out of shape and has to play himself into it for the first half of the season, and half of the time during that process, he hurts himself and then is hurt in the playoffs. So like Joel Embiid, same damn story this summer. You sign this massive extension for the 76ers, and he went and played for Team USA. Like at least Jamal Murray was showing some kind of pride for his country that wasn't going to just piggyback and coattail ride to a medal. Like at least Canada wasn't a shoo-in to get a medal. Joel Embiid, what are you proving? First of all, you weren't born in the US. Like you're not like I think he was born in like France, and he's African. So like at least if he was playing for France or Africa or some one country, some place in Africa, like at least I'd be like, okay, he's playing for pride of like country or whatever. Like, what do you want to go and play with the US for? Like, even though he's whatever, he's a citizen. Congratulations and welcome, like proudly, like we're glad to have you. But like, you're not doing anything. They're winning with or without you. Like you're not contributing a thing. And then you're first and foremost, you owe not the US, you owe the team paying you $67 million a year for the next 4 or 5 years. So like he comes in and says, I do my best, I give my all, I work too effing hard for this to take this criticism. You don't, Joel. If you did, you would have skipped the Olympics this summer and you would have made sure that you came in healthy, because he played in the summer and he came in and he was hurt from day one until they decommissioned him. So like say what you will about these players that are hurt all the time. It's bad luck. It's whatever. No, some of it has to do with them, their work ethic, and their desire to be healthy and available for these teams. And obviously Paul George and Joel Embiid just don't have that desire. So to pay these guys a cumulative $100+ million for the next 3 or 4 years into their 30s. Good luck moving forward with those contracts, and good luck trying to compete for anything for the next 5 years. Philadelphia, it's time to trust another process and go in a completely different direction. Up next, we've got back in the lounge. We've got Mason in again, another continued sponsor here to the lounge. Mason, many thanks for you coming back in and your continued support here. What does Mason have for us this time, Gary?
Houston needs to do what it can to offload that inconsistent scrub Jalen Green, a man who paints his fingernails and had a baby mama can't be your franchise leader.
I'm not going to get into every element of that comment, but I will say Jalen Green is, I think, still a very raw talent. I think he's extremely young. I'm just looking up how old he is. I think he's 21 years old. He is 22, and he's been in the NBA for 4 years, surprisingly. So he came in when he was 19 years old. He's still only 22 years old. He's been in the league for 4 years. He's a consistent performer, though, in terms of the games played. He played 67 his rookie year, 76 his second year, then all 82 the last 2 seasons. And he scored 17 per game as a 19-year-old in his rookie season. That's pretty impressive. And then there really hasn't been a significant uptick since, though, his rookie year. He's over 20 points per game 2 of the last 3 years, and just about 20 points per game. So he's a career 20-point per game scorer at only 22. Again, I made the comp to Devin Booker earlier. I think that he does have some Devin Booker comps, I think, to him. I think the two of them, he's about the same size. They have similar skill sets. He's not extraordinarily efficient, and he was obviously not ready for the stage. He choked pitifully in the series, the first round series against the Warriors, a 7-game series. Really, he was single-handedly to blame for the Rockets losing that series. He had literally one good game. I think it was game 2. He scored 33 points or something. And other than that, he was 6 points on 3 of 19 shooting basically every game. So just he was not prepared. But with that said, though, if you bring in Nikola Jokic, if you do essentially a swap for Schengen for Jokic, and Jokic is the guy, and you've got Amen Thompson, or Amen Thompson, however you pronounce his name, that kid coupled with Green and the other components on that roster, Oh boy. Like I honestly, Jalen Green to me has a much higher upside than Jamal Murray. Like I think Nikola Jokic can make Jalen Green a star. If Nikola Jokic made Jamal Murray a $50 million a year player, like he can make Jalen Green a perennial all-star player, like no doubt about it. So, but overall, I kind of agree with your premise, Mason. And thank you for your support. Next, we have Samson, the current back end. Samson, again, welcome back in, a regular here in the lounge. Thank you for your continued support here. What does Samson, the current, have for us tonight, Gary?
Bron and AD were Luke Longley into each other's eyes.
I see what you did there. A nice little play on words, a little basketball play on words there. That is, he's obviously talking about, this came about a half an hour ago. We were talking probably about that little clip when it looks like AD and LeBron were about to make out with each other on the heels of that mid-season tournament win 2 years ago. Next thing, we've got Doc Ock, who I don't recognize the handle. Some kind of a play on Spider-Man, no doubt. I think maybe, I'm not sure what the avatar is, but I do have to say I endorse this message before I put it up. So Gary, let me put it up. I'll have you read it.
Dude, this is complete garbage because SKAP.
What do we have, Gary?
SKAP could never be qualified enough. Do you think that you could ever articulate
Gary,
yourself
please,
as well as President Biden? Come on now,
Gary, please.
SKAP for president. Those are some big shoes to fill. Do you think you could ever articulate yourself as well as former President Joe Biden?
I'm Jay Skapanak, Doc Ock, and I approve this message. SKAP for president. I like the sound of that. Yeah, Gary, you're right. That's not a lofty bar for me to clear, actually. So, for when you bring up our former president Joey B,
I think to honor this message, you should act presidential like Joe Biden to these comments. Bron and AD were Luke. The thing. Okay, we're gonna go on. You see what I'm saying? You could do that,
right,
and
Gary? Now you nor I like to get overly political, but I will certainly endorse. I can announce my official run for president. Unfortunately, I wish I weren't, but I am over the age of 35. That's pretty much the only criteria that is needed. That a U.S. citizen, born in the U.S., I should say. So I qualify there as well. So really, I meet the very bare minimum of standards that you need to reach in order to be eligible to be elected for president. I wish that I did not meet that age requirement. Unfortunately, I do. So I am ready, willing, and able to take on this campaign, my run, officially starting now here, announced here on SKAP Live After Dark. SKAP for President, Doc Ock. I endorse this message.
But you will also settle for NBA commissioner.
I would take that too.
The bar's not too much higher there either.
True. Next, Gary, we've got Broncos fan for life in, who has no question nor a comment. And I just wanted to donate to us, just support the cause here in the lounge. So Broncos fan for life. Many thanks for you. Many thanks to you for coming in and for supporting me and for supporting the show here. Gary and I both appreciate it. And finally, we've got Xavier DeGod back in again with Xavier's got all these questions, all these long, winding questions that I talk for many, many minutes about. So what is this latest question from Xavier, Gary?
Who are the greatest NBA players to never win a ring? I know my top 5 off the top of my head. Do you want me to chime in and you go off, or
sure? Let's hear yours.
It's pretty easy for me. Malone and Stockton, Charles Barkley, Reggie Miller, and Patrick Ewing.
Yeah, I mean those are all good candidates. I think Karl Malone has to be at the top of the list. I think just because. Third all time in scoring, and he's got like, I think his career averages are like 25, 11, and 3 per game or something like that. I mean, just crazy numbers. His longevity, accumulated counting stats look great because he played till he was like over 40 and he's very durable. But But then for him to play till he's like 40 or 41 and still not depreciate his per game averages, I think 25, 11-ish, and 3 per game, it's just nuts. And then 2 league MVPs, which we can argue the validity of maybe both of them. Definitely, I think Jordan should add one of them, but still 2 league MVPs for him. Just an all-time great. I think if you give him, 1 ring even, he's probably top 15. I don't know that I even have him in my top 15. But I think though he is definitely, he's got to start the list for me. Now I know there is some things about him from an off-court standpoint. I think he allegedly impregnated like a young girl when he was young, when he was also young, but still, like, I don't want to get into that. I don't really like discussing that kind of stuff when I'm talking about basketball legacies or on the court legacies. So, I'm just looking at his from a standpoint of basketball, legacy on court, and I think he would probably lead my list. Stockton, yeah, I mean Stockton, I think he's underrated. I think he's overlooked. He's one of the top 5 best point guards in NBA history to me. He's the all-time leader in assists by a lot, and the all-time leader in steals as well. He led the league in assists like an astronomical amount of times. I think like 8 or 9 straight times. Somehow, some way, I think Irvin Magic Johnson is the all-time assists per game leader, not Stockton. But Stockton is the easy assists leader for a career. And I just want to get the overall number because it is mind-boggling. Like John Stockton right now, 15,806 career assists. And Chris Paul is number 2 on that list, and he's got 12,499. So, some like nearly 3,000 assists still behind John Stockton is Chris Paul. And just to give you some kind of an idea, Chris Paul played in all 82 games this season, which is crazy for he's 40 years old, just about. He played in all 82 games, and he managed 605 assists. So at 40 years of age, Chris Paul, who's a first ballot Hall of Famer, who is one of the 10 greatest point guards ever, who has played a very durable, like 20 years, basically, is still like 6 years behind the pacing of John Stockton if he wants to surpass Stockton on that all-time list. In terms of like the other active players, LeBron James with 11,500, like 4,000+ behind. Russell Westbrook, 9,900, like 6,000 behind. The youngest player that's like anywhere near a potential maybe is Trae Young, who's got he's like 4,700 assists ish. So, he's got to do what he does for like 12 or 13 more years to get even close. So like John Stockton, to me, all this to say, John Stockton's super underrated. He's like one of the 5 best point guards ever. So I've got him, obviously, Gary. Kudos to you. Great list so far. I agree with both your guys. And then, yeah, probably Chuck. I would say Chuck's got to be mentioned on the list as well. I think if we're going like maybe just peak guys is different than like all-time like career guys. So I don't know. I think Elgin Baylor does not really have a ring. He might have one because I think he was on the roster of the team that ultimately won. No, he wasn't even. So no, he was out of the league by 1970. So he wasn't even there for that 72 one where Gail Goodrich, Will Chamberlain, and Jerry West finally got over the hump. So Elgin Baylor to me is another one that bears mentioning, one of the greatest players ever to never get a ring. So just to name a few, Allen Iverson, I think, is a really great player too that doesn't have a ring. And then honestly, Russell Westbrook you can throw in the mix too, just from an overall career accumulated stat standpoint. Same with James Harden. I
would rank above those two.
Yeah, fair. Yeah, fair. I'm just saying, like, and I'm not even necessarily saying I'm super high on these guys. Everybody that knows me knows I don't hate, it's a strong word, but I think very little of James Harden. I think he's a really overrated player, but still, just his overall resume to like never have a ring, like he plays into that. He's a major factor. He doesn't, but still. And then, you've got like Gary Payton. Oh, no, Gary Payton got one with the Heat. Sorry.
No, yeah.
So, but yeah, Gary Payton looked like he was going to be
Reggie Miller.
Yeah, Reggie Miller for sure. And he got, I think the guys, and you mentioned Ewing too, who I agree with, like the guys that got pushed up against Jordan, that just that they would have one, like the Malone and Stockton would have one. Ewing would probably have one.
He ran into Hakeem.
What's that?
He ran into Hakeem. That's the only reason he doesn't have it.
So Ewing basically, unfortunately, came up against Jordan in the East for years, and then when Jordan wasn't there, came up against Hakeem in the final. So, yeah, it just kind of stinks timing-wise for him. But great question, Xavier. I obviously go off on your questions. And now Xavier's back in with another question probably that I'm going to talk about for several minutes. Xavier, what is this next question from him, Gary? And Xavier, thank you for your continued support here.
What players in the NBA right now have Mamba mentality? So this is a twofold question because you have to think, that Mamba mentality at the end of the game when you're an assassin, like Jamal Murray has that, but also part of the Mamba mentality is what you do in the off season and prepare. So Jamal Murray doesn't have it there. So I would say Kyrie Irving is probably similar because look what he did at the end of that game 7, 2016. He looked very Kobe-esque and he seems to prepare. His only problem is just the injury history. That's all that really holds Kyrie down, I would say. I think Wembanyama has it, the way he prepares and his focus. But and I think the end of the game doesn't seem to rattle him too much. But have you meditated on this, Scat, and what do you think?
I think there's guys that have elements of Kobe's mentality in the NBA today, but I don't think there's any single player that encompasses it all, quite frankly, to be totally transparent. And I think Wembanyama is too young right now to know for sure. And I don't know. He's surrounded by good guards. Your boy Castle and De'Aaron Fox. De'Aaron Fox, who's a routinely clutch player at the end of games. So we don't know even what kind of role that Wembanyama will play in those clutch moments, what kind of role he'll have to play. I think when I think about Kobe Bryant, it's just so many things. It's his desire to be a clutch closer and a killer. Not only that he's good at it, but his willingness to be it. Like those things go hand in hand. Like he wants it. He feeds on it. Like he longs for it to have the ball in those moments when it's do or die, to take the challenging shot with 3 or 4 guys on him, maybe sometimes to the detriment of his team, but that's just how competitive he is. And just how much he believes in himself that he thinks him taking a shot with 3 or 4 guys on him is better, a more highly probable shot of success for his team than him passing it to some dude wide open in the corner. So there's that element of it So he's not only willing and always ready and able, but he's good at it. But then, to me, the Mamba mentality also is competing at the highest level at the other side of the ball, like the willingness, the determination, the desire to take the best player. So you're right. That's a conditioning thing too, because you have to have the conditioning and the will to condition yourself in the off season to be able to score, to carry the burden, the responsibility of I'm going to drop 30 every night and I'm going to be fresh at the end to close these games. And I'm going to take the best guy on the other end at my position, or I'm going to eliminate the best perimeter player. Who the hell possesses all that? Then wait, I'm not done. I don't even want good players, basically. Not only did Kobe not want to go and join super teams, he didn't even want other really great players. Kobe wanted just secondary role players that he could mold and turn into what he wanted them to be, but that he could take the full and total responsibility and take the challenge of being the guy, the main guy, the only guy. He outright sabotaged the Lakers in terms of getting high level free agents at times throughout his career, because he would come into meetings, allegedly, reportedly, from people that are close to the situation. There was one year where Kobe was 33 years old, he was getting old. And LaMarcus Aldridge was he was the top free agent on the market. I think he ended up going to the Spurs or something like that. And Aldridge came to visit the Lakers, and they were in the middle of their pitch. And again, this was someone in the front office, an unnamed source that leaked this story that Kobe came into the meeting late, halfway through it, sat down and was like, essentially, this is my team. You could rebound for me, basically. Like, totally sabotaged the meeting. Like that. So, and that's, again, to the detriment. If Kobe were willing to play ball and to recruit guys, and to go on these pitch meetings like Steph Curry did when they signed Kevin Durant famously in the Hamptons in that summer when Durant went to Golden State. Like, if Kobe were willing, like, he could have won 8 or 9 rings. Like, he probably did win fewer and then same with Shaq. Like, Shaq was still a very high level player in 04. Like, Shaq went on the next year to finish runner-up to Steve Nash and MVP. Many people think Shaq should have been the MVP that next year, that Kobe forced him out the following year. And then Shaq won the NBA championship with D-Wade the year after that. So, like, but Kobe, he didn't want that. He looked like too many people, including Shaq, were saying like, oh, Kobe can't win challenging rings. Kobe can't be the guy. So Kobe's like, all right, I don't care. Like, give me these bums from Miami and I'll just see what I can do with them. Like, so all of that, all of it, the competitiveness, the willingness to walk the walk. Kobe said he's the best. And Kobe also said, I don't need much to prove it. Give me one fringe all-star dude in Pau Gasol and I'll just go dominate this whole damn league. LeBron has chosen one tattooed on his back, calls himself king, and then crawls on his hands and knees to like 2 top 12 players, teams in his prime. Like, so all of those things encompass the Mamba mentality to me. Who possesses that in one shot in today's NBA? Xavier DeGod? Nobody. That's why there's only one Kobe Bryant, and that's why I will forever love him. The late, great Kobe Bryant. I think
Wembanyama has the potential, though, to be something like that. He plays hard on both ends. He works in the offseason. Hopefully this injury is a flash in the pan. If he's healthy, I think he could definitely embody the Mamba mentality.
It's fair. And then finally we have Samson, the current back in, another regular here to the lounge. Gary, what does Samson have for us this time?
Once he draws the line at Peyton Pritchard here. We're not getting rid of Pritchard. Want Celtics to trade all but White and Pritchard for Jokic. So the deal stops. If the Nuggets ask for Pritchard, the deal's off the table.
I honestly think this is interesting. I never even thought about this scenario. It would likely never happen, and it wouldn't even match contractually. Like, you can't make it match. Maybe you could. I was going to say Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum and picks for Jokic. And I know Tatum's not going to play this year, and he might be hampered, maybe diminished somewhat moving forward, but like, he's still only 27. Jaylen Brown's like only 26 or 27. Like, would you take picks and those two, like all NBA caliber players, for Nikola Jokic at 31? I think you would. I think the Nuggets would do that trade. Now, the contracts wouldn't really match up. You'd have to throw some scrub in that makes a lot of money on the Nuggets. Oh, gee, who could I possibly think of? A scrub that makes way too much money. I guess take your pick. Why not Michael Porter Jr.? And so Michael Porter Jr. and Jokic for Brown and Tatum head up with some picks too. I think probably the Celtics would do that. And the Celtics would be a dynasty. They would be the team to challenge, I think. Moving forward from the East would be the team to beat. I think it would be Celtics and Thunder for several years to come. If you just give like Drew Holiday and White and Pritchard, and then whatever, like you bring in, get rid of probably Porzingis. I think he comes off the books anyway. He might have one more year. And hey, Porzingis for one more year is interesting with Jokic whenever he's healthy. That would be an entertaining big tandem. I think Porzingis is very talented. He's very long. He's good at finishing at the rim. Jokic is going to draw most of the attention. I think that could be a very frightening aspect. So that's actually a pretty interesting. Neither team is going to do it, again, because Jokic would never demand it. And ultimately, I don't know that Boston would do it. I think that would probably be a better deal. I think Denver would want that more than Boston, actually, even though I think Boston does not get another title now in the Brown-Tatum era. And I think if they brought in Jokic for Brown and Tatum, they would win at least one, maybe multiple championships? That's an interesting question, Samson. One that obviously is just a pure hypothetical and likely to never happen, but hell, we can all dream about it. And that brings us to the end of our super chats this evening. We are at about the 2.5 hour mark here in the lounge. Thank you guys for hanging out who are still on board here. 220 people still in the lounge area. I'm very grateful to have such supportive fans and followers here. You guys continue to turn out for me and continue very generously to donate to us here. And I do appreciate that. We've been over. Will N came back in. Just to recap this real quick though, tonight the 118-103 win. I was talking about just kind of putting a bow on the night. I will get to Will N's additional comment though, and then I will talk about tomorrow as well. I might not be able to make it in tomorrow. Actually, we'll cover that though. 118-103, just a pretty easy cruising victory. Another close first half. The Timberwolves were up by 4 in game 1 at half. They were down by 8 at half in game 2 tonight. But the third quarters, really, Oklahoma City just distanced themselves, and really they blew them out in game 1 in the fourth. The Timberwolves were a little more competitive in the fourth tonight, but they were down by like 20 going into it. So 15-point win when the smoke clears and the dust settles tonight for Oklahoma City on the heels of that 26-point win in game 1. This series looks all but over. I don't know. Minnesota will likely get one, but they ain't going to beat this team 4 times out of the next 5. So it's just not going to happen. Now let's work our way, though, to Will N. Will N has a hypothetical here. What's the question, Gary?
How big of a threat would the early 2010s Blazer be if Greg Oden and Rudy Gay were healthy? Rudy Gay wasn't on the Blazers, was he? He's talking about Brandon Roy?
I think so. I think probably talking about Brandon Roy. I do want to just check out Brandon Roy was like really good his rookie year.
Yeah.
He really came undone like early on though in his contract. He was rookie of the year actually. So he won rookie of the year in 06-07, 17 point per game, 4 assists, 4 rebounds. In his rookie year, really good rookie year. He ascended to all-star level in his second year. So a nice jump up, 19, 6, and 5 in his second year. And look, kids, this is back in 2007, 2008. So 19, 6, and 5 was putting in work back in the day. So ascended from rookie of the year in his first year to an all-star in his second year. Then more ascensions into his third year, where he became a 23-point per game scorer, was all NBA second team. So he was an all-star again. He finished 9th in the MVP voting that year in the regular season and was all NBA second team. He was then all NBA third team the following year, his fourth year at just the age of 25. And then, man, he really hit the injury wall. He fell off the map in his next year, his age 26 season. He played in only 47 games. Started only 23, dropped his scoring average to just 12 a game. Then he retired the following year. I mean, that is so sad. He then came back the next year after that out of retirement and played only 5 games and then was out of the league for good. So like, this is just so sad to see the trajectory of Brandon Roy, which, like, I've always known of him and known that was happening in the peripheral of the NBA and all the other things that I was following at that time. I was really dialed into Kobe at that point. And then Greg Oden, like, I mean, he was probably even more derailed by injury. Like, at least Brandon Roy was like a never was kind of thing. Or I'm sorry, he was like a, I don't know, like a could have, would have, should have kind of was Brandon Roy. Greg Oden was like a never was. He was the number 1 overall pick in the NBA draft, in the draft that contained Kevin Durant. So like, that's how good Greg Oden was.
Right.
But like, he didn't even play his rookie year because he was injured. Then he came in his second year, started only 39 games, played in 61, started in only 39, averaged only 9 points per game. Then in his second full year, his third season overall in the league, only 21 games played in, 21 games started. Then he didn't play for 3 straight seasons with injuries. and then played in only 23 games total, 6 started, 2 points per game, and was then out of the NBA for good. That was it. So both of these guys essentially careers totally finished at 26. They would have overlapped each other. So, look, Will N. And Will N is back in, by the way, just clarifying the comment, saying that he did indeed mean Brandon Roy, not Rudy Gay. Two three-letter last names, kind of just mix that up. But look, it's very speculative. I think Greg Oden, you can't really say what Greg Oden would have been, even because, like I said, like he never even materialized in the games that he was playing in the very, very sparse amount that he did. Brandon Roy was like an all NBA caliber player when he got hurt. So like, obviously if Greg Oden was just a perennial all-star, like, yeah, the Blazers would have just been another perennial 50 to 55 win team that just would have made that iteration of the Western Conference all the more difficult and challenging, because that circa of the West was already absolutely straight stacked. You had like Kobe Bryant was running around there, the Tim Duncan Spurs, the Tracy McGrady, Yao Ming Rockets would be built somewhere around that time. You had the Allen Iverson and Carmelo Anthony Nuggets. You had the Steve Nash MVP Suns. It was just crazy how loaded that Western Conference was at that span of time. So like that just would have made it all the more difficult had those two guys been healthy. Will, but many thanks for the question, for the hypothetical. And guys, yes, as we wind down here in the lounge area, as it is nearing 2 a.m. on the East Coast, and we're over the 2.5 minute hour mark here. Many thanks to all of you guys for joining us along the way. Gary, many thanks to you for joining us here tonight. Now, for those of you who might be new, I'm sure you're not. If you're still here at this point, I'm sure the 200 some people that are in here are pretty avid members, are pretty much regulars here in the lounge. But I've been talking about it in my videos. I do use some movie drops, so I'm sure you kind of get the hint that I'm a big movie guy. But more so in these lives, I've really been talking about movies, making movie references, making it known how much I love movies. My idol, my hero growing up, I had 3 of them from the age that I can remember, from the time I became a conscious human being, like 8 years old, whatever. Kobe Bryant has been a lifelong hero of mine and idol. So Kobe, I'd say is one of the 3 lifelong idols I've had. But that was later in my life. I was like 11 years old, maybe 11, 12 years old when Kobe Bryant came into my life, so to speak. So I see Will End making another a comment here about Space Jam. So I'll talk about that in a second. But I'm a big movie fan, and Jim Rome and Kobe Bryant are 2 like mentors, idols, like heroes. 2 of my 3, but my first love, if you will, the first guy that I emulated and really wanted to be, I wanted to be him or be like him or whatever, is Tom Cruise. I'm just a humongous fan of Tom Cruise. I've seen his entire catalog. I was in 95, or like, I guess I want to say it was 96 when the first Mission Impossible film came out. I was like 12 or 13 years old, but I was a big fan of Tom Cruise even before that. And when I saw the Mission film is when I really was propelled into like massive Tom Cruise infatuation. And I just love this guy's commitment to making enjoyable and great films. He's like 62 years old. He's worth like $800 million. And yet this guy still is driving motorcycles off cliffs, jumping off buildings, hanging off of helicopters. He's got the Mamba mentality as a filmmaker, I think. And I just love Tom Cruise. I can't help it. I'm like 40 years old now, and I still am like a little kid when it comes to like Kobe, when it comes to Tom Cruise. And for those of you that don't know, Mission Impossible, The Final Reckoning, will come to theaters tomorrow night. It's actually in tonight, but tomorrow's the opening weekend, so to speak. And I will be going to see that movie opening night tomorrow. And I think my tickets, I want to say I'm going to an 8 o'clock showing, and the game tomorrow night tips off at 8. And the movie is like 3 hours long. There's 20 minutes of trailers that will be played out before it. So I likely will still the movie will still probably be playing out when the game goes final. Then I have to drive home from the movie theater. So like by the time I ultimately get home from the movies, like if it's not too far away, like if I get home around 11:30 and the game just ended like 20 minutes, a half an hour earlier, like I'll probably squeeze in onto the lounge tomorrow night. If for whatever reason, like the movie's longer than I think, or like the traffic, blah, 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 and it's like an hour and a half after the game has finished, I might not be on tomorrow night. So I just wanted to let Gary, first of all, we haven't talked about it, and let everybody in the lounge here know tonight that I may not be here because I got to go support Tom Cruise, my main man. I got to go watch the final reckoning. Will not only be, it's the second part of the 2-part Dead Reckoning Part 1 and Final Reckoning. It will be the final installation of the Mission franchise, at least as we know it, with Tom Cruise helming that franchise. I'm expecting Ethan Hunt to die in the film. So it's probably going to be like a somber final moment there, I think, for it. But I'm ready to see what Tom does. It's getting mixed reviews, not as good of reviews as the last 4, but Tom Cruise, I think, is he's like impervious to bad films. Like he's made maybe 4 or 5 bad movies in his whole catalog as a leading man for 40 years. So I'm sure I'm going to enjoy it no matter what. And it might actually, unfortunately, derail the lounge tomorrow. But speaking of movies, we've got Will N asking about Space Jam 2. And Will N obviously wasn't around. I did talk about Space Jam 2 a couple nights ago. I actually have not seen it. Maybe when the season ends and we've got some slower time, maybe I'll either do a video review of, I'll watch the movie and I'll do like a video review of it, or maybe I'll live stream myself watching the movie and I can discuss it during the live stream. But overall, I think I've seen ridiculous reviews of Space Jam 2. Personally, I would be thinking going into the film, either one of two things. The aliens will win the game, obviously, because LeBron chokes all the time. Or like Bugs Bunny is going to have to carry LeBron. Like Bugs and the Toon Crew are going to have to play outside of themselves to carry LeBron. So those are off the top of my head what I'd be expecting in that film. But we know that Jordan, the GOAT, obviously made better movies than LeBron. Obviously, Space Jam, the first one, a classic. And that soundtrack, look, I don't get into off-court things. I don't want to mention R. Kelly and any of the allegations and the criminal litigations that has fallen around him. But I Believe I Could Fly, classic song, classic soundtrack to a great film. And we've got Master PM that has slid in here. Also in the aftermath of me doing my spiel about Tom Cruise and Mission Impossible, on the heels of Will N's Space Jam question. So, Gary, what does Master PM have for us?
I can't lie, I really mess with you, SKAP, and I don't know what to think of that.
Look, this could be a younger person, which if it is, shout out to you, Master PM, because I am old, and I think my content and my takes and my delivery kind of elicit an older viewership. So Master PM might be a little bit younger. This is like some younger people, word usage or whatever, what this saying is. I think this is, I think if I'm reading through the lines, I think that this is saying I F with SKAP, right? Meaning I support SKAP.
Yeah, and I don't like that terminology for these young kids saying that. That's not something, especially two men saying that to each other. Oh, I F with this person or that person. No, I'm not saying that.
Well, I get it, but either way, whether Master PM is a male or a female, I do appreciate the support, and I'm pretty certain this is a positive comment.
Yes,
I'm almost certain. I see the little praying emoji hand there. So Master PM, shout out to you. Many thanks for your support here. I do appreciate it. And if you are younger, we love having you. I love having the younger audience here in support of an old head here in myself. Gary, Moderator Gary, is also an old head. Actually, Moderator Gary is an even older head than me. So thank you.
Ironically, I don't hear women saying that much. It's almost always men when I hear it. And that's why I don't understand some of this modern terminology. Things that would never dare be said in the 80s or 90s.
Sure. But Gary, I'm a very proud, confident man in my sexuality. You know, I'm not afraid to have a man pay me that kind of respect. Not that anything would come from it or that I would engage in it, but I'm perfectly fine taking that kind of a compliment from a guy. And just like I'm totally fine with Doc Ock's endorsement of SKAP for president. So I'm also willing to accept that as well. Shout out again to Doc Ock for that great comment tonight. But many thanks to you, Gary, for your continued work here with us. And many thanks to all of you guys who stick with me along the way here and hang out in the lounge. Like I said, TBD for tomorrow. Look, I never really guarantee or promise that I'll be in here ever anyway. So you know what, Gary, shout out to you. We got one more in here from Will N. Will N, Gary, go. Actually, I'll read this to Moderator Gary. It is Moderator Gary greater than Molly Kareem.
Thank you.
So,
that's what I said. I told you I would be your moderator, and I told you I would be better than Molly Kareem. I told you that before we started this. Will N confirm that. Thank you, Will N.
So I just wanted to read that one for Gary and give him his flowers from Will N and the shout out. I agree, Gary Moderator better than Molly Kareem for sure. Yes, many thanks to Moderator Gary for your continued work here with me and support, and obviously all of you guys that continue to hang out and support me along the way here. Means the world to me. Thank you so much. Never promise or guarantee tomorrow. I won't tomorrow because I might be MIA for MI8, Mission Impossible 8, The Final Reckoning, but we'll see. Play it by ear. If the movie wraps quicker, if I can speed home in time, I will be on here at some point in the aftermath of the game tomorrow to break that down. And I do. We got one more in here.
And I'm going to read this one. And I'm also in agreement with this. And I also told you this same thing. We're getting confirmations of my prophecy. SKAP better than ESPN, especially Stephen A. Yes.
Thank you, Carlo. Carlo, big fan of the lounge, lounge regular. Carlo, I appreciate you. I am humbled by your kind words, by all of your guys' kind words and continued support. It's crazy to me. All of the participation that I see on these on my channel, in these videos, all the participation in the chat, all of the donations that I get from you guys every night. Like, it really is crazy. It has been a very rewarding. It has been a tireless and a sleep deprived playoff run here with these very, very, very late nights / early mornings.
FYI, SKAP, FYI, Naveen, I confirmed that those were Indian rupees he sent. So something got out from India.
All right. Let me go back and find it and just put out. I don't know if Naveen is still on the live right now, but Naveen, that little symbol there is an Indian rupee, you said?
Yes, that's Indian rupee.
All right. Shout out from India, Naveen. SKAP, we are we are an international, we are a global brand here at the SKAP Attack Lounge area. So many thanks for all of the viewers all over the world continuing to tune in here and support me. And perhaps I will see you guys tomorrow night. If not, we will be back on Saturday night to unpack what will be a must-win game, an absolute must-win for the Minnesota Timberwolves as the series shifts back. No team in NBA history has ever overcome an 0-3 hole. That would be the prospect of what Minnesota would be facing if they lose on Saturday night. And they would have to beat this Oklahoma City Thunder team 4 straight times. I think they lost 2 times in a row once all year. So good luck with that.
Hey, real quick, even though we may not be there tomorrow, prediction for tomorrow night game, I think the Knicks are going to win because I think they are hungry to correct that choke job, and I think they will. I expect the series to be tied up 1-1. What do you think, Scott?
Yeah, no, I agree. I full-heartedly believe that the Knicks will win. I just want to check the line real quick and just get confirmation on that. I think it's probably about 5.5 if I had to set it. Actually, it's 6.5. So Vegas has installed the Knicks as 6.5 point favorites. I would probably take the points there, honestly. I would take Indiana getting the 6.5, but I like New York to win the game. The series is over. Look, I think the Knicks choked. I make no qualms about it. I had the Knicks going into the series. I think they choked the series away in game one. I think ultimately it will cost them the series, but I think they will put up a fight, stand their ground, and win a game two, because the series is over if they lose game two, obviously. Down 2-0 going on the road to Indiana. So I think New York will be playing for pride. They'll be playing for the city, and they'll be playing obviously for themselves to try to not go into that 0-2 hole. I think they will win the game tomorrow night. I think it will be 1-1 in that Eastern Conference finals round. And we've got Carlo has come back in with another Carlo is prone to do. Has a Stephanie comment. We have not actually seen Stephanie tonight. Stephanie might have been in the chat. I did not see her come through the sponsor area, but she may very well be here or have been here at some point in the live lounge area. And Carlo has been shooting his shot with Stephanie for a couple days now. So towards the end of the shows, Carlo likes to just reshoot his shot with Stephanie. What's the comment here from Carlo this time, Gary?
Scott, how can I be as good looking as you to get Stephanie? I can already say you're in the wrong mindset, because nothing to do with how you look if you want to get the girl. And that can be a bonus, but that's not what's going to ultimately win the woman's heart, is how you look. And that's a mistake a lot of men make. They think it's how they look. That's how it's different for men and women. For us, for a lot of men, yes, they want the woman based on how she looks. But for the woman, they are attracted to an emotional connection. So it's different. That's a mistake a lot of men make. They think that it works the exact same way for women, and it doesn't.
Now, we've got some relationship advice coming from Gary the moderator here in the late night lounge. This is the SKAP late night lounge portion now that we've segued into in the after dark region right now. So we've got some relationship advice. Maybe we can get into some of that raunchiness that one of our
no, we're not doing that.
that one of our sponsors was asking for earlier. But yes, Carlo, I don't know. Stephanie, sadly enough, has not taken the bait. She's not bit on your repeated shots. So listen, I would just say keep your confidence. Keep taking those reps. Keep making the shots. I'm looking at the avatar right now. You look like a good-looking young gentleman. So just have confidence in yourself. And if Stephanie doesn't come around, I'm sure there will be some lovely young lady that will. So many thanks to you, Carlo, for the little compliment there, as well as your continued support. And many thanks to all of you guys. I'm going to get out of here while I can until another super chat comes my way. You guys are obviously so generous to keep doing it. So I'm going to say goodnight to everybody out there in YouTube land. Good night to Gary, the moderator. And perhaps I'll see you tomorrow night. If not, I will see you all next time. And until then, everybody, have a great night.